Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Fake Nerd Podcast. I gotta tell you, we switched formats, and it's weird, but I'm excited to get used to it. I'm Brandon C. McClure with you on not a Sunday. We are not doing this on a Sunday, which has really kind of messed up my week. I hope it's messed up yours as well. I'm here this week with Sparks Witty.
I am here.
And Ryan Eliopoulos.
Hello, it is me. Welcome back. We're here to talk about some dead things, and I couldn't be more excited.
Now, unfortunately today, Ben Magnet could not be with us, but he's here with us in spirit. Unfortunately, the Deadites got him, so...
The swallow your soul, dead by dawn. I'm in Hawaii.
Yeah, he's in Hawaii. I don't feel bad.
Right. I was looking forward to reviewing this movie with him, but you know what? He do love his vacations.
Hey, someone's got to take them. I wish it could be me.
Right. Well, hi guys. How are you guys today? We have a new format. Not a new format, but a new OS system or whatever. What is this called? Right.
We're just upping the production value just a tiny bit. Just throwing things together. I love StreamYard. I think StreamYard's great. We used it. The pandemic really helped us stay alive. I think it really helped. But like StreamYard's cool, but it's really limited. And like in the sea of podcasts, everybody uses StreamYard. And like I just want us to look a little bit different, a little bit better. This is a first attempt here. We're also just talking about a horror movie, so I made it look horrific. But like, hey man, we got a Photoshop master over here. We can cook up some sweet layouts. We'll figure it out, and it'll just be, just trying to give you guys a better looking show, because this isn't a video show as much as it is an audio show.
We're always trying to improve.
Yeah.
True. Last week we got to 300 subscribers on YouTube, and good time now as any to upgrade.
Yeah, and sooner or later we will have like an actual studio, which will be really fun. So it's just it's only going uphill, turning up Millhouse, coming up Millhouse.
Well, before we get into our weeks, we have some links in the description.
Oh, is this true?
Well, by the time you're rewatching this and listening to this, there will be links in the description. I'm not sure if they're there when we're live.
Yeah.
But for people, the rewind and listeners, check out some links, such as my CBR articles are still up there. I don't think anything went up this week, but check them out. I have a piece as well about Star Trek Legacy that went up last Monday. Basically, I'll get into it in my week, but Star Trek Picard is not necessarily the end of the road for a lot of these characters. We kind of knew this was coming for a while, that the showrunner, Terry Matalas, showrunner of 12 Monkeys, he really wanted to keep going. He wanted to do another Star Trek show, and so he's been talking about what that would be called, where it would go, what it would be. It sounds really interesting and really exciting, and so I just threw my hat in the ring of many writers talking about how much they want this show, and just talked about how cool the show would be. So that's there in the description, as well as there's an episode of Grayson Live, just one. I did not watch it, so I'm not going to be Ben and try to talk about it. And but check it out. Grayson's a cool guy. His collaborations with Ben are really fun. And D&D Dark, the latest episode last week, ended. I did listen to this one. It ended their Night at the Museum arc. Well, not really ended it, but like
Fright at the Museum.
Fright at the Museum, right? Well, not really ended it. Leads into something. It's a very fun episode. Ben was very excited to talk about it with us for months because of a certain thing that happened. I won't spoil it in case you guys haven't listened to it yet. And so it's unfortunate that he's not here to talk about it. But
yeah.
So
or maybe fortunate, because he'd probably let a spoiler out.
So now there is Smart Arcade Pause Menu. I'm gonna read my own handwriting for a second.
Sure.
Smart Arcade Pause Menu. A new episode went out last week. Sparks, you put it up. Ben recorded an episode with G to the Next Level.
That's correct.
I'm sure it's fantastic.
Yeah, they talk about hidden gem games within the Sega system. Games people don't talk about a lot, but are worth checking out, according to G to the Next Level.
Is he a Sonic fan?
I don't know.
collecting all the Sonic fans that aren't you.
Yeah, right. It was a Sonic and a Sega episode back to back. I was like, this feels targeted.
Fool me once, shame on you.
As well as you can check out my penultimate episode of Fake Nerds Watch Star Trek Picard. So that'd be episode 9, Vox.
Mm-hmm.
Really good episode. Oh my god, some of the stuff that happened in the episode is so cool. But my also penultimate episode with Cookie. I'll talk more about Star Trek Picard in a little bit. But yeah, that's up there. Super emotional, coming to the end of the road for many things. And finally, Conversation. Thank goodness we were late to record this episode because my Conversation episode is up. It's finally out.
Love it, love it.
I did delay it from the initial release date because I had recorded. Obviously, the interviews are pre-recorded, but my stuff comes much later, and so it's been a long time since I've recorded the show. So I did a couple passes, and I wasn't happy with any of them. I mumbled, I rambled. It wasn't working. And I was like, you know what? Changing the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, as you know, if you listened to it already, I have a new theme composed by Jeremy Vellucci to go with the new logo. I changed some of the sound effects. I'm very excited about. I'm so excited about this stupid thing, but cause I'm not really. I know I edit the show and I edit Conversation, but I'm not really great at audio editing. And so I was like, I'm gonna really learn some stuff. And one of the things I really wanted was a sound effect. A dial click for a radio clicking on. Nanosecond worth of audio that I was just meticulously putting in the right place to make it sound like it started the episode and ended the episode at exactly the right moment, and a lot of fun.
Sure.
That is the joy of editing.
Yeah, and so anyway, enough about my dial clicking sound effect. The interview is very good. I really like talking to Karis Lunn, who is my guest for that episode, to talk about her show Journey into Fandom. It's been a long time. Season 2 has been a long time in the making, and I'm really excited to finally get that first episode out. I hope everyone enjoys it, or have enjoyed it if you were to listen to it, and I can't wait for everybody to hear what's coming.
Can't wait to hear it. The rest of it. All of it.
That's all the links. Who wants to go first of their week?
Okay. Ben, why don't you go first?
Ben, please. Can you imagine if he was listening to the chat right now? Just
bro, you're in Hawaii.
I'll go. I don't have a lot. So I'll tell you that I felt kind of bad because I fell behind on my manga that I was caught up on. So I was like, there can't be that much to catch up on. And with Chainsaw Man, there actually is. I fell a little far behind. So that's going to take me a little bit. So instead of Chainsaw Man, I went for the ones that are shorter and going to take me less time to catch up on. So Kaiju number 8, totally caught up again. I had about 6 to go. So brought myself all the way back up to speed. Great manga. We're in the middle of a kind of busy arc. I kind of had to be reorient myself and be like, what's happening right now? Oh yes. Okay. It's an easy read. And then Dragon Ball Super, which I didn't make it all the way through. I think I still have 2 chapters, but I did get through some. So some of the Dragon Ball superhero lead up stuff they're doing with Goten and Trunks and Krillin knowing that the Red Ribbon Army was trying to get in contact with Hedo, which makes me go how did this movie even happen? It's fun. It's cool. I like a Goten Trunks adventure manga. I don't have a problem with that. I think it's a lot of fun. What I have a problem with still is the manga skipping 3 years or something, where Goku and Vegeta are just blanket training on Beerus's planet, and that is the canon answer of what were they doing for 3 years? Training. Okay, sure, I guess. And that's where I remain with that. Highly recommend catching up on Kaiju number 8. I do think that's really solid. There's not a ton else I can talk about that I did that isn't related to stuff that's gonna come out on the podcast. So Mando, obviously watched it. There's an episode coming out this week, probably tomorrow if you're watching this live. So it'll be up at this moment for most of the people who are catching on. So like it's there. Like there's not a lot for me to say about that. Some comic stuff also related to the show. So the other thing I'll talk about is that I encountered through an audio adventure a bone chimera, a werewolf, a Frankenstein monster. I listened to D and Dark, but not all of it. I've listened to most of what came out last year. So I think I'm on the last episode from last year. I think that's 12 episodes in or something. Yeah, it's a good show. People should check out D and Dark, especially if you like the monster stuff. There's a lot of creative storytelling going on. I really enjoyed it. So I had a lot of time because I caught up on a different podcast feed, and before I went back to another one that I'm like way back in November on to catch up, I was like, maybe I should listen to Ben's tabletop podcast before I go back to November on another show.
Damn good show.
Yeah, it is. They're doing a great job over there. Again, like my weekend got really slowed down on trying to do any nerd stuff because we had guests all weekend. So like I've been busy. I don't and then I've been working on stuff for the show. So that's it.
It's me. I also didn't do a lot. The only thing I did was I continue to live in a galaxy far, far away, but consuming nothing but Star Wars content all day, every day.
Oh, sorry. You just reminded me. So, I'm sorry. I did show the first chunk. And when I say first chunk, I mean all the way up to the moment when Anakin becomes a Jedi Knight.
The first half.
Of the Genndy Tartakovsky Clone Wars series. I watched it with my mom and my sister-in-law. Because we were talking about, like, dipping into Clone Wars, and, like, my wife wasn't around, and she's already watched that part. But really what I think they should watch is Rebels for Ahsoka. But anyway, we watched that. Man, that's good shit. That's just good shit.
Yeah. I watched the first half with you, and I'm like, man, I forgot how awesome this is.
I will always be thankful that, for one reason or another, when Filoni came in to make the 3D series, and like everyone else that was involved, George Lucas still at the time and everything with the 3D Clone Wars series, that they decided not to retread the Tartakovsky opening so that it remains canon, basically. I mean, you can have your debates about like General Grievous's discrepancies between the two and Mace Windu being OP and that kind of thing, but like the general trajectory of Anakin and Asajj Ventress, this is how Count Dooku recruited her, this is how Anakin became a Jedi, like that's the thing that happens before the 3D series starts. So like, cool. A+. Glad it's there.
I remember when we were getting ready to see the Phantom Apprentice episodes for the Clone Wars Season 7. We were, Sparks and I talked a lot about how we didn't want them to do the Clone Wars episodes again, the Tartakovsky episodes, because there's a Anakin Obi-Wan version of those events, and we were hoping that we wouldn't see those events from Ahsoka's point of view, and like move Anakin and Obi-Wan away from that situation to kind of make it non-canon. But I was really happy when we got those episodes, and basically what happens is Anakin and Obi-Wan go do that adventure about halfway through the first episode.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very much like Anakin and Obi-Wan's adventure can't quite line up with where it ends to get into episode 3 in the Tartakovsky series in comparison to like the modern one, but like outside of that, everything about Grievous going down to the planet and taking Palpatine, again, your discrepancies about how Grievous behaves in that series versus everything else is like, yeah, sure, but like they didn't redo the abduction of Palpatine and all that, and I still remain appreciative of that because I'm like, that's good content that's just there.
Yeah, so let's see. Most of the thing, I played all of the Lego Skywalker Saga this week. All those episodes are like they're all like an hour and a half, so like it's not actually a lot of game. Like it's all the extra shit that's gonna take me 1,000 hours.
Right.
And I beat that game, and I had like 400 of the Kyber crystals or whatever, and it's like out of 1,200, and I'm like, yeah, man, that's a lot. I already put like 15 hours, and I'm only a third of the way through this, and I'm like, so I did a bunch of the extra stuff, and it's a lot of fun. It is definitely a great podcast game. Like, it is just fun to like run around with the Mandalorian and the Armorer, like just like knocking out fools. And like, honestly, my favorite game, which is what will transition me into my next Star Wars thing, was I didn't know there was so much space fighting and so much dog fighting in that game. And there will be random giant capital ships that fly in that you can take out for like extra gold, and you can capture them and stuff. And I'm like, this is all awesome and not necessary. Like, it could have just been those 9 movies, but they put so much extra shit in there. And like, that is a like, I hope they do this. Like, they have to be doing the Infinity Saga, right? They have to be doing that. That's what they're doing next, right?
Interesting.
Like, they have to, like, they don't have to do like hour and a half, like 20 movies, but like, there's no way they're not making a giant Marvel, because this is incredible. And if they do this for Marvel, like, that's what I really want. Like, I love Star Wars, man, but like,
I don't know if that's a guarantee, because they did do like the Lego Marvel Avengers game is essentially Phase 1.
How many Star Wars Lego games came out?
No. That's not what I mean. I mean, it did poorly. Like, it didn't do well.
I also heard it wasn't like super great.
Right. So I all I mean is that's not necessarily a guarantee.
No,
because
of course.
like, especially like the backlash they got even in making this game, for how they handled it in studio. Like,
yeah, I wouldn't. I see the vision of like how you can do this with those movies, and like, and like, don't make them like, just do like 30-minute little movies.
Yeah.
And like, I just see like, oh man, like that would be so perfect, and you have all your heroes. And because like, I went back to Marvel Superheroes, I think that's what it's called, 2, the one with Kang and all that stuff, and I'm like, it's also a PS4 game, so like, it's just a complete down. It's a fine game, but like, after playing Skywalker Saga, then going to that game, I'm like, that was a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. I can't go back to any Lego game ever again after this. No, for real, because like the gameplay, like, if the gameplay wasn't so good, I wouldn't have played it all the way through.
Sure.
Because like, these Lego games, like even this one, like, it is still the same Lego games it's been. It's just like the gameplay's better. It looks great. Like, they gave it the biggest budget of all time.
Sure.
So like, yeah, this one's a banger. It's great. I got Babu Frick and I freaked out. I love it. I love Babu Frick. He's great. There's a Babu Frick sound, Brandon, that you didn't hear, and one day you will hear it, because I got a soundboard and Babu Frick's on it. Moving on to more Star Wars, because I wanted more doggy fights. I restarted for like the 4th time Star Wars Squadrons.
I've been thinking about it.
Because that's a game I bought.
I've been thinking about it for like 2 weeks.
That's a game I bought like 2 years ago, and I started it, and I played a couple missions, and I'm like, I'll get back to it. And then I did that a couple months later, and then a couple months later...
I really love that game. I blew through the whole thing.
Yeah, so I was like, I have such a problem with not finishing things. I'm just gonna do it. So I beat Skywalker Saga, and then I started Squadrons, and I'm like, I don't know how long that game is. I don't think it's super long. But I think I'm like halfway through. And
Brandon beat it, so it can't be that long.
Yeah, so like, I think I'm like halfway through. But like,
True.
the characters are like, they're fine, they're good. But like, you know, I see Hera show up, and like, that's the first time Hera shows up, like, you know, outside of Rebels, and I'm like, oh yeah, this game is cool. And like, it is doing a lot of the extra setup of post episode 6 stuff.
Sure.
And like, Grand Admiral Sloane, who is the person getting all of the Empire together for the First Order, like, she's in this game, and I'm like, oh yeah, this game like is kind of important, and like, you know, for stuff. And I'm like, I'm glad I'm playing it. They let you customize both the Empire and the Rebel like character you play, but it's so shallow and hollow. Like, I don't even know why they did that, because like, your character barely talks, you barely see them on screen. And I'm like, you should have just like picked a character, because like, this is kind of shallow.
It was something where I was sitting there when like, just the amount I played of the game, and I was like, this should just be an item versio. Like, I don't care that like, I can't put my customization on it. Like, if we're telling the story, tell the story. This should be a character I care about.
Yeah, like, all the lines are, I'm like, yeah, like, you got it, Admiral. It's just like all like the most generic lines, and I'm like, why? You could have just made a character. But yeah, the gameplay is really great. I just learned how to drift again, and, you know, doing like Tokyo style drifts in space. It's a good time.
You really feel like one of those times where you are that player in Wreck-It Ralph, where you're playing at the arcade, you go to the bug planet, and you are the robot that everybody clears the way for, and they're like, all right, recruit, we're gonna get you in there, and like, everybody kind of folds around you, but you're freaking nobody.
It's also made for VR. Did you get it in VR?
No, because my computer can't handle it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I wanted to so bad. But like, I was like, nah, it's fine.
That would be insane on the VR headset.
Definitely. And that game was made for VR, because like, the story mode, it's you just like looking around things. Like there's no like you doing anything, but that's not besides the point. Game's great, gameplay's great. It was a budget game, so I'm not mad that I didn't pay full price for it. 2 years ago. Great game. I am almost all the way through Jedi Survivor Battle Scars, which is the prequel novel to the game that comes out in a couple days.
Hell yeah.
That book is totally fine. I'm enjoying it. It's a great read. It's pretty fluffy. It is. I'll be honest. Reading it right after reading like Heir to the Empire and Thrawn, they're just operating at different levels.
Right. Sure.
And that's fine. This is a very, I hate to call it like young adult. It feels kind of young adult in a way, the way it's written. And the biggest problem I have, and again, I am enjoying it. The biggest problem I have is the way that it's written as if just like it's like it takes place in like 2023 Southern California. A lot of the dialogue doesn't feel like Star Wars dialogue. I know it's a weird thing to say, but the things that characters say, no character would say it in Star Wars. It's just one of those things where like, fantasy movies, like they kind of have their own way of speaking. Star Wars kind of has like its own, like they're not being like crazy. There's a lot of like, man, Cal's got game. And like a lot of like really youthful, again, like it's not necessarily a problem being that, but.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. I will push back a bit to say that like as Star Wars has progressed through the generations, I think more and more of that does slip in. Sometimes it's them trying to find a Star Wars-y way to say the same thing, but sometimes it is that they're just trying to like slang speak in. The only reason why it gets weird to me is because like while the generations are moving forward to experience this, the storytelling is going back and forth through the timeline. So like we're going backwards to people saying phrases that didn't possibly exist before A New Hope.
I'll tell you the phrase that got me. It's that the narrator described a girl as a hot goth girl, and then one of the characters called her a hot goth girl.
Sure.
It's just one of those things where I hear it and I'm like, this sounds weird to me. And a lot of the book is like that.
And this is what I was going to say, is that what I've noticed more, I haven't gotten to that phrase, but like what I've noticed more is less that what the characters are saying is bothering me, but what the narrator and what the inside narration of the characters' heads will be has been like, Cal, this feels very not Star Wars.
I was really hoping this book would give me more character insight for all these characters, and it's kind of doing it for a lot of them, but like Cal is still just like a dweeb, and I'm not really he's like the least important character in the book. This is a Marin book. It's about Marin and her girlfriend. Like, spoiler, this is a super Sam Maggs, the writer, on Twitter, she was like, y'all, I want you to know this is one of the gayest books you will ever read. And like it truly is. It is a almost like erotic novel at times. I'm not joking. Like it gets like almost pornographic. And like I was listening to this at work, I'm going, y'all, this is hot. This is for Star Wars, like for real. Like it is like
Ryan texted me today, he's like, yo, how far are you? And I was like, I mean, not as far as you, why? And he's like, this book's getting really erotic.
It's just like it's about like it's two girls like slowly falling in love, and it's just like it's like the major focus of the book, and like that's not a problem for me. Like it just might be one of those things where like maybe this book isn't for me, and it's not, none of it's bad. It's very fluffy. And again, I'm going right from Thrawn, where it's hardcore Star Wars, like deep in the trenches, where this is like it's a side story to a video game that's not really important.
Well, and it's Marin that's happening with, right? So you think that like they're going to have that relationship be a focal point in the game, that we're going to see it. So this was a way to, because it is going to be thrust into the game as already existing, this was a way to give it like deeper representation. And so because of that, and that becoming the focus of like, this is why we're going to tell this story, Cal becomes less important. Not only that, but because his major character developments have to happen in the game.
That's the thing too. It's like there are certain things happening. There are certain things that I really like where it makes game references. So like, you know how in Fallen Order, like you had to use stim packs to heal yourself? They make references that in the thing, like, oh, BD had to pass me a lot of stims for that fight. Like that's like a fun inside jokey thing I'm cool with. But it's just something, it's the way this book is written that I'm just like, it might be a personal thing. I need it to be a little more Star Wars. Sure. It feels like a book that has a Star Wars coding as opposed to a Star Wars book that is also a drama. You know what I mean? Like, I'm really liking it. I think it's pretty funny. But overall, I'm like, I could tell why this was a side story, because like the plot itself, like this could have been like a one-shot comic issue. Really, that's being expanded to 250 pages or whatever. I'm glad to have read it. To have like I got like 3 more hours left on the audiobook. The audiobook's awesome, and let me tell you, anytime there's a Star Wars audiobook, all the music's there. So you know when Cal's fighting a Inquisitor, the Duel of the Fates is playing, and when something sad's happening, the episode 3. You know that lady, that sad lady, that's happening. So I'm like, oh, I'm getting emotional at work. That's just John Williams. It's not probably the book. Yeah, so I probably did more Star Wars stuff than that. Oh, I read a comic, but that's for the book club. I'm watching every show that I'm continuing to watch. I'm still watching Yellow Jackets. That's great. Succession. That's great. I'm watching Lost. It's great. That's me.
Are you gonna start listening to Stormwatch?
Is that like this? What is that?
I sent you a thing about that Joanna Robinson's Lost podcast.
Oh, I already have. Oh yeah, I listened to it before.
Okay.
Before you sent me that actually.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Love it.
All right, my turn, I guess. I started listening to a podcast. So I've been really interested in tabletop role-playing games. Because that movie just like knocked my socks off, I guess. But like I've started to really interested in this sort of thing, and so I was like, maybe Dungeons and Dragons, or maybe the Star Trek one. Which I have recently discovered that Star Trek has a tabletop role-playing game called Star Trek Adventures. And I started listening to a podcast just to kind of get an idea of what the mechanics are with the game. I started listening to a podcast, much like D and Dark, Critical Role, a real play podcast, called Starship Tempest, which is a real play podcast based on Star Trek Adventures, and so it's an original Star Trek series. And I started listening to that. It's pretty charming. There was a couple of years ago that it came out, and they have just I think they just finished their 2nd season. It's pretty charming. The game sounds super interesting, and just some of the ways that it works. But I'm looking forward to continuing more. I've only listened to 3 episodes, so I don't have much more to say than that.
Engage.
And I started watching Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur.
We love to hear it.
Yeah, that show's pretty good.
Which you guys did an animation station on, and it's very good. You guys sung its praises, and you were correct to do so.
All right.
Only 12 episodes in, I think. Maybe less.
12
Maybe
episodes?
A little less.
There's only 12 episodes.
There's only 12 episodes in the first season.
I thought there was 16.
I don't think so. But let me double check.
I got TV time, so I can see where I'm at.
Here, I also want to get on my phone.
Yeah. No, but it doesn't really matter because I really enjoy it. I love the music a lot. I'm 10 episodes in.
There it is.
I love the music a lot. I think the every song is very interesting and very catchy, and I really like how it informs the episode. I really love the animation, as you guys talked about. Yeah, it's a awesome show. I really like it.
Heck yeah.
I love it. Can't wait to watch more.
I listened to some Doctor Who's. I was gone last week, where I talked, and so I was listening to a bunch of Doctor Who audio adventures on my trips up and down the coast, and I only want to say a little bit about them because I talk about them a lot. But I listened to the second Unbound Doctor. That's the David Warner one.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't love that one as much as I loved the first one, but it's pretty interesting. I really like David Warner as the Doctor. The War Doctor stuff is very interesting, because they're really like going into this kind of like monstrous personality that the Doctor tried to be throughout the Time War, and dealing with the Daleks, and it's kind of weird, and like there's time nukes, and there's sectioning off a certain time zone of space. Some really cool concepts and theories, and John Hurt is really good as the War Doctor.
I'll be honest,
really
like that sounds really necessary to me because like I love the idea of a doctor that the Doctor wanted to pretend he didn't happen. Like I like that a lot, but like when we got to the Day of the Doctor, I love John Hurt, but like you only get like talk about how rough he'd become. You don't really see how rough he'd become. Like, he should essentially be the idea of everything that when we see the Doctor at other times, it's like, yeah, I'd be really dangerous if I didn't have a companion. Boy, I could really go off the edge and really cause some damage. And, like, that's who John Hurt should be. He should be the guy who causes the damage.
Yeah. There's still, like, the first 3 episodes that I listened to, there's still, like, glimmers of he's still trying to do good in the universe and try to save people and make sure the Daleks don't kill innocents and whatnot. But other times there's, like, people are going to go to their death, and the Doctor, as you know, would be like, no, we can find a way out, and he would. But this Doctor was like, no, yeah, you gotta die.
I feel like the pinpointed moment of, like, this is exactly the Doctor that everyone should fear is the one, I forget the name of the family, but the family that's, like, hunting him, and with David Tennant, and then that guy has the line where he's like, I realized why he tried so hard to run away. He was being kind because he, like, ruins their lives forever for what they do to him. And, like, that's, again, who I feel like the War Doctor is. He's that version of David Tennant most of the time.
But even.
There is a criticism I have with it, because they don't go as hard as I'd like them to do. Is what Sparks is talking about. They don't go as hard as I'd like them to do. And I think it's because the BBC at this point is very, at this point in the recordings, is very protective of the Doctor Who brand. And so I think what they're thinking is, I think what the BBC is saying is that, like, you don't want our Doctor to be a hardened war criminal, and Big Finish is kind of like, okay, but this one is.
Sure.
But they still do some really interesting stuff, and I really like it. The 8th Doctor audio adventures I've continued with are all really good, really fun. I like the companion. I have noticed something, and I looked online, and apparently this is something that happens a lot. Paul McGann is bored. He really likes playing the Doctor. This is a voluntary thing. He's not under contract to do these Big Finish audio adventures, so he has to want to do it. Sometimes they are not giving him the material that makes it worthwhile for him, and you can tell when he feels that way. And that's mostly when he's kind of feel like the Doctor has gotten stale. And most of the time that's followed by them erasing the Doctor's memory, which happens so much with Paul McGann. And actually, it's fun thing. The Time Lord Victorious episode with David Tennant references the fact that he kept having his mind wiped as one of the reasons why he doesn't remember his adventures as the 8th Doctor. Explain why we never get any reference of him.
Sure.
Outside of, like, pictures. And so anyway, so this last time he fights the Time Lord Glorious, Jesus, Time Lord despot, kind of like the Time Lord Hitler, Morbius, who was in Time Lord history. He's coming back to life, and the Doctor's like, oh my god, I gotta stop Morbius. And I kept thinking of the vampire, because I never saw that episode.
It's Morbin time.
It's Morbid time, exactly. And so they fall off a cavern like Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty, and when the Doctor pops up again, he has been living 600 years on a different planet. He just doesn't remember anything anymore. So that's when you get, like, interviews of Paul McGann after the episodes being like, yeah, it's really interesting to play the character, like, I'm learning how to be the character again, because he's learning who he's, and I'm like, oh yeah, right, now you care again. That's cool.
Sure.
I really like it. I'm really excited to continue.
Hell yeah.
Poker Face ended a while ago, but I finished watching Poker Face with Natasha Lyonne. Excellent show, like, really excellent show. After the end of almost every first act break, I turned to Zara and I was like, this is excellent, because there's always a fun thing about the show, always great actors, always great writing. It's really special and really good. I love the character of Charlie Carroll. I think she's awesome and charming, and the way she connects with all the stories is really fun and interesting. And it's not really it's not really a whodunit. I talked about it before, but like because you know who the killer is, you just don't know everything about why the kill happened. And that's where Charlie Cale comes in. Awesome show. Highly recommended if you haven't watched it yet. It's really awesome. Only I think 9-10 episodes.
I'll get to it.
I'll finish The Bad Batch. The season 2. So I'm all caught up on The Bad Batch in time for season 3. I think the second season. No, I don't think the second season on a whole is stronger than the first season, but I do think the back half of the second season is very good.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard. Is that the back half, like it ends very strong.
Yeah, it's got a very strong ending. The characters all end up in interesting places, and the first. But I remember the first half kind of being a little boring, a little kind of we're spinning our wheels a little bit, and then the back half really kicked it off. Sparks mentioned last week that you didn't like Sid, and you'll be happy to know she stops being so much a part of the show.
I will be happy to know that.
I think the show really develops the Batch as fun and interesting characters. I love Omega. I think she's great. I really, really like what we're getting now is we're starting to see the transition to clone troopers to stormtroopers. Like there's a bill in the Senate that people are trying to debate on whether or not they want a standing military and what would happen to the clones afterwards. And so you get some really interesting episodes with Crosshair, who is one of the Bad Batch who decided to stick with the Empire. He becomes like our focal point of seeing what's happening to the clones post the Republic into the Empire, and seeing how the Empire is going to begin to treat them, because that chip was never meant to last. Eventually the clones would start to realize, hey, that we betrayed our Jedi. So Crosshairs becomes kind of the eyes for that, and his episodes are some of my favorites. And I don't really care for him as a character that much, but his episodes are very effective and really delivered in the political messages that I really appreciate about this era of Star Wars. Let's see. Yeah, okay, I'll talk about Star Trek Picard a little bit. Kind of generalities. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. I have a whole 6-week episode, a series about Star Trek Picard that I did with Cookie from Just a Little Podcast. 10 weeks, not 6 weeks.
I was gonna say, I was like, it's more than 6.
Yeah. That I've done with Cookie from Just a Little Podcast. I just got new weed.
2 weeks.
So we talk about the last episode. We actually recorded that today, so that'll be up soon. And it's really great.
That's nice.
The first 2 seasons I don't particularly care for. I don't hate them as much as others do, but the change in direction to season 3 is really excellent, and I found so much value in it and so much love in it, and I just it's really good.
Yeah. I saw a new meme that I haven't seen before using this format. The original one, it's Game of Thrones, and it's like the first 5 seasons, it's a beautiful horse drawing, and then season 6 and 7, it's like a Crayola drawing to finish it. For Picard, I saw it was like a Starship Enterprise, but the first 2 seasons were drawn by a kid, and then the final one was like a glorious HD image of like, Picard season 3 is the greatest thing ever. And I'm like, I'm glad it ended positively, because that would have been awful.
It does seem like the thing they just needed the whole time was
nostalgia.
A Next Generation show that was about the whole crew and sometimes featured Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's. I think if this would have been the show in the beginning, I don't know how I'd feel, but speaking of the Next Generation reunion, because it is this Next Generation reunion, we get Jonathan Frakes back as William Riker. William Riker is my favorite Star Trek character of all time. I love how Jonathan Frakes plays that role. I love Jonathan Frakes, and for so long, Jonathan Frakes was only doing directing. He was only directing TV shows. It wasn't in front of the camera. Pretty much after Riker, he did some voice roles and just kind of to be a TV director.
Did he not?
It's fine.
He did not show up in season 1.
He is in season 1.
Okay.
Yeah, he is.
I thought I was having bad memory moment. I'm like, I'm pretty sure he showed up in season 1, right?
We meet his daughter, Kestra Troy Riker.
Okay.
That episode. Best episode of the season, by the way.
Is that saying a lot?
Yeah. Anyway, but I think the performance he delivers here is a career highlight. It's a career high for him. He is so good. For someone who hasn't been acting for so long, the first episode you kind of get the sense that he's like working those muscles that he hasn't worked in a long time. And then he like really delivers some truly heartbreaking performances. I love seeing him with Troy again. The two of them are so good. And Jonathan Frakes gets so much great material to work with. I'm so happy about it.
Love it.
But look, it's not perfect. No TV show is very difficult to make something perfect. But what it does deliver on, I think it delivers very well. There's a lot of payoff to the not just the series, but the entire Next Generation run. There's just so much value in what this season brought to a Star Trek fan, to someone who really loves the Next Generation. While there's a lot of nostalgia, and it gets worse as the show goes on, but never blatantly, always done with love. The people who did the show want you to know that they love Next Generation as much as you do. There's some really fun returning characters, some surprising returning characters. Meet the Enterprise F from Star Trek Online. That was awesome. But just a long-winded way of me saying, like, they really delivered. They really nailed it, and I'm super impressed. And if we don't see more from this century, specifically with the new characters introduced in this season, I will be very disappointed.
I'm sure you'll get something.
Yeah, I think there's something that happens at the end of the season that I tweeted about, but I don't really want to kind of blatantly spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it. There's a lot of reasons why you would think that Strange New Worlds might conflict with a potential legacy series, what this would be called Star Trek Legacy. They don't want two shows that would be similar.
Sure.
Look, I love Strange New Worlds. I don't want to get rid of Strange New Worlds. I just want my cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
Michael Dorn gets some great stuff. He has an awesome sword. It's a good show. I'm really impressed. I'm really happy. Yay.
Hell yeah. Multiple great Star Trek shows on at once. Love it.
Yeah, it's a good time, honestly. Last thing I'll talk about is Suzumi, which is an animated movie that we talked about a little while ago. This is the one where the guy turns into a chair.
Oh yeah.
Excellent. Really excellent. I think it might be my favorite movie of the year.
Hell yeah.
It's beautiful. The animation is beautiful. The voice acting, I saw the dub. The voice acting, Josh Keaton, I believe is the gentleman's name, played Spider-Man in Spectacular Spider-Man. He's great, and as a chair. And there's an actress who plays Suzumi who I didn't realize was who she was. So I was listening to the voice, and I was like, oh, this is very familiar. And I recognized her from Superstore as like a really annoying, like ditzy blonde girl. And she's incredible as Suzumi. I loved it. Really awesome stuff. I was sobbing by the end of it. There was a point about halfway through the movie where I was like, oh, I was like, it felt like it was coming to an end. And I was like, oh, I was really hoping I would like this more. And then there was another hour.
Long movie?
It's 2 hours.
Short movie. Wow, an hour-long movie. Crazy.
For an anime film, like, on the longer end of what you usually get.
Sure.
You haven't seen anything else from this director, have you?
No, we want to. I think we're going to try and watch Your Name.
Your Name. Yep.
This week.
That one made me cry. I think that he's just a guy who makes people cry. That's what he does.
Yeah, I never thought door opening and closing would be so dramatic. Because it's really all the action scenes is just trying to open and close doors.
Extra effective.
Yeah, really loved it. hope more people see it. It's doing well in the box office, which is nice. I want them to keep bringing more anime movies to kind of wide releases, not necessarily Fathom events.
That director's films do very well here stateside, so I'm sure they'll be fine.
Yeah, the first half, the reason why I kind of noticed it, just kind of felt a little interestingly paced. Not bad, because boy, the payoff is incredible. But yeah, excellent movie. Can't really say too much more about it. All right, that's all my week. Got nothing else.
Love it.
All right.
Shall we go into our bread and butter?
Yes, well, please.
That was smooth as butter.
Yeah, baby.
All right. So, talking about some sad news up top. Harry Belafonte passed away this week.
Yeah.
Age of 96.
Harry Belafonte.
Major activist, and then known as being an entertainer, actor, singer. How old again? 96, right?
96.
96.
Yeah. Been around for a long time. I feel like everybody's seen something related to him, whether it's his activism or his art. You've been aware. Pretty influential figure. I've seen a lot of people sharing like his Muppet Show and Sesame Street appearances, which is kind of nice and heartwarming, because like the specifically like Frank Oz and a couple of other people who worked on the Muppet Show have talked about like crafting the show around him for the episode that he was there. They wanted it to feel very like for him in a way. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. I heard some of his music. I really liked him. He was just kind of one of those names you instinctively knew, you know?
Mm-hmm. Belafonte.
He had a great quote, which is that I was never an artist who became an activist. I was an activist that happened to become an artist.
That's nice.
And I think that really like puts a lot of his activism at the forefront, which is what he was always trying to do, and rightly should.
Hell yeah.
All right, so some interesting industry things happened this week. Hasbro and Mattel have partnered up in a pretty big move. The two companies are going to combine forces for a licensing deal for their upcoming theatrical releases. So for Hasbro, it's Transformers: Rise of the Beast, and Barbie for Mattel. So basically, what this means is Hasbro is going to make Barbie branded like Monopoly games and whatever they own toy wise, and Mattel will produce like Transformers, Hot Wheels, and an Uno game. For those are the examples. Unprecedented, but kind of awesome.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. They are the titans of their industries. It is cool that like they're doing Barbie Monopoly. I assume that already existed, but I guess not. We have like an office
because they're
Monopoly.
competing toy companies and so.
Yeah, but
sure.
things.
No,
happen.
yeah.
Just assume.
Transformers, Hot Wheels.
Yeah, you think.
Beat that.
Yeah, you think those would have happened?
Yeah.
I know I follow someone on Instagram who made a Barbie Monopoly.
Wow.
Maybe they'll call her up.
Maybe.
Netflix is going to begin cracking down on password sharing during the second quarter of this year, which I think is actually this quarter.
Yep.
Current quarter we're in. So basically what this means is users will be able to add 2 or more people outside of their homes for an additional cost because they're going to begin blocking devices that attempt to access an account without properly paying.
Hilarious.
No one will do this.
That's so funny. I'll be honest, Netflix, they obviously, lots of great stuff comes out on Netflix, but not enough where I, because I forget, I don't go to Netflix personally all the time. Whatever I watch on Netflix, it's usually with this guy.
Right, and I mean, even if you, at this point, even if you wanted to log in, you live in this house, you could... This is the thing is, because we all have the same Netflix and there's, 5 people in this house, and so, that's my only thing. I don't really care about the rest of this. But, when Netflix gets to the point where, there's too many people in this house. Here, add another person. I'm gonna be like, no, fool, come on.
That's ridiculous.
We're all on the same IP address. Shut up.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, the profile thing, and like they were talking about how much they didn't mind password sharing, but they're doing this because they think they're losing, what was it, like 100 million subscribers a month?
This is the fake idea that corporate heads have in general from streaming services about when people are password sharing, it means that the people who are getting the password shared to them, we are losing on those subscribers. And it's like, not really, because let's be honest, those people could just pirate if they really wanted to. And the reason that they're having their password shares is because they can't stinking afford to buy you, and they wouldn't if they could. So, like, it's not real. Like, it's maybe a little bit real to, like, a 1 to 2% of what they're thinking.
Don't think they're gonna get the numbers they think they're gonna get.
Oh God, no! Of course they're not. They're
like,
gonna probably lose subscribers over it.
Like in like a similar but different way, like the way like HBO Max. Sorry, Max. Like that whole like nonsense.
No. Still HBO Max right now.
Oh, good. The home of HBO.
I'm gonna always call it HBO Max.
Of course.
I don't even care. F Zaslav.
Yeah. I had a point, and I don't even care anymore.
Sorry. It's like HBO Max in the sense like what Netflix is doing.
Sorry, Netflix. Yeah, like they just like. Yeah, they're losing money and they're losing subscribers. So what do? We keep making worse announcements. Oh, we're losing money, we're losing subscribers. Now your friends can't watch it. Now your family can't watch it. Like, yeah, you're really gonna make us want to watch Netflix now. Thanks, guys. Awful business.
The thing is, there are so many streaming services. Like, sorry, but Netflix, gets to the back of the pile because I think there's more interesting content on the other streaming services.
I just signed up for Paramount Plus.
Yeah,
it's got that Yellow Jackets.
Well, also it's actually Showtime, so I had to buy the Showtime package for $1 more. I'm never gonna watch Showtime.
There's a lot of good shows on Showtime, though.
Yeah, I know.
Showtime and Paramount Plus are combining soon.
But I can't wait. I gotta watch Yellow Jackets the day it comes out. I can't wait.
Right.
That's how good. That's how good that show is. Like I cannot wait for the pirates fast enough. I need to watch the show the second it comes out.
That's very exciting to me. Yeah. And then Katie just got it in our house, so like with Showtime, so you'll be.
Yeah. I can.
She added the Showtime.
Get that 1 month, baby.
Yeah, I was thinking about it the other day. Is like I don't really go to Netflix, but like still, I haven't seen Sandman yet. There's still a season of Camp Cretaceous on there. I haven't seen Sweet Tooth season 2 is coming. There's still good stuff on Netflix.
I'll be honest. Like even with Netflix, like for the time being, all of them, Prime Video. That feels baked into my Amazon, but whatever. Netflix and Hulu, HBO Max, Disney Plus, Apple TV Plus, Peacock, Paramount Plus, all that stuff. Man. I'm like, but here's the thing. I would rather pay the total of all of those subscription services and have access to all the content that those entire vast libraries give me than pay cable.
No, I agree.
Than pay the $80 almost equivalent. Maybe I'm paying a little more for all these services, but I'm being selective.
And no ads for most of them.
Right. I'm being selective, and I have considerably vast customization and more options. I would still rather this than the cable package days. Like this is still better, even if the streaming boom is kind of lurching on its ends right now. This is still preferable to me than the pay for Fox News when you never want it.
Because
did you hear about that, by the way, real quick? Fox News is increasing its cable subscriber amount by $3, regardless of if you pay you watch it or not. If it's in your package, you have to pay $3 more now because of the money they're losing in stock over Tucker Carlson being taken out.
Tucker did this. Oh no.
Anyway,
the one good thing he did.
I would rather live in the streaming service than have to pay costs over things I don't even watch.
No, I agree. I never
or care about.
I think about having to be like, wow, I can't wait to watch that movie at 8:30. Like I can just watch it now. I can just watch it now.
You mentioned cable, and I just remembered that I was watching the True Lies TV series that just came out, based off the movie, because my mom was watching it on cable, and it's so bad.
Sure. Just the way it's
bad.
cut.
And the girl who plays
Nikki from
She-Hulk.
Yeah.
And she acts circles around the guy who plays the Arnold Schwarzenegger character. And I'm sorry, if you can't act better than than 90s Arnold Schwarzenegger, you shouldn't be in this show.
Hey, come on now. There are worse people. I said cable, but I'm taking the shot at Dish, DirecTV, all of it.
That's all the same.
All of those services.
Yeah.
I'd rather this model. I feel like you have more control as a consumer over paying for what you actually want.
Yeah.
I agree.
But either way,
Ready for the
Netflix, this
ultimate
is
ad
stupid.
free?
This is just stupid because we know it's not going to benefit Netflix.
Yeah. I just remembered I didn't know what ultimate ad free meant until I listened to the episode last week.
Oh, you didn't even look it up?
Ultimate ads.
I was going to, but I didn't. But I ended up not being on the episode, so I didn't do the.
Yeah, you're just basically paying to get 4K.
It's funny. Amazon Prime Video. I thought this was kind of interesting, but I kind of regret putting it in now.
Ruh-roh.
But oh well. They've launched a dialogue boost feature. This is going to be an AI-based approach that allows viewers to adjust the volume of spoken dialogue without changing the volume of background music or sound effects.
This is actually, I don't hate this.
This is good.
Because it's really important specifically for Amazon, because Amazon is not just Prime Video, but they also are a host to digital copies of films and television shows that people can buy and purchase or rent or all that kind of stuff. So they are the most high commonality of this, where they have a digital copy and the audio balance is off and bad because it's not given all the material it needs from a physical media transfer. And this comes down to a lot of homes, like it's modern TVs not having good sound system setups unless you do some finagling. It's all this kind of stuff. Like we had to change a setting in order to make Indiana Jones through the PS5 in 4K watchable because it only has the Dolby surround sound as an option for the 4K. You can't do a different setting. So you have to alter your TV sound settings to make sure the music and sound effects are not overpowering the dialogue. So you have to go in.
Because they were very quiet.
Because there's no other, like, you only have 5.1 maximum surround sound. You don't have, like, drop down to the next level, stereo it out.
If you're buying this 4K, we know you have a sound system.
Right, that's kind of the logic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'd rather have that option than not have it. But, like, it means you have to do this finagling. And so, like, Amazon and a lot of the digital copies have long been a problem of this thing where, like, music is too loud and dialogue is too quiet. It's long been an issue. So the fact that they're introducing an AI tool, actually incredibly smart. I think they're recognizing a problem that's been there for a long time.
I think people hear AI and they freak out just because of the current wave of AI art and stuff.
But this is one of the good uses.
This is also like great for accessibility. Yeah, because like some people are hard of hearing, and like, are you just gonna make it louder? No, you
turn on the captions.
Yeah, turn on the captions. That helps.
But some people want to actually hear what
the
voice they're saying if they're capable of doing so.
Yeah. And again, this is optional, so like I think it's a cool thing.
This is good AI tool. Good AI tool.
One of the few.
I'm glad I put it in now.
Well, because it's not replacing like a person's job. Like, there's no person that's going to go in on every single thing in the entire Amazon Prime Video library and like spend their time like finding the new audio balance.
The Writers Guild of America has authorized a strike by a margin of 97.85%.
It's 2006 again.
You know what this means, guys? You know what this means? The movies coming out in the next 2 years are going to be awful. They're gonna have no scripts, for real. Just like that Boom, like the next Transformers movie, they didn't shoot with that script. I think for a decent chunk, it means we're just gonna be looking at delays for a while. Yeah, it's not as fun though.
No, I know. There definitely will be some bad scripts that come out, but like for the most part, I think we're looking at delays. We're looking at the 2000. I think this will happen a lot faster than it did in 2006 because 2006 happened, and we all remember how that writer's strike killed Heroes. A lot of people will point to that one specifically, but like there's a lot of examples of what was going on at the time. But that's a pretty good one because it completely derailed that show. It gave the showrunners just enough time to go, oh, maybe we should second guess our plan.
I brought it up, but like Transformers 2, like that they shot that movie with like a script that the writers did not write, and like it feels like it.
Yeah, no, yeah, and so I think a lot of Disney projects, for example, like a lot of the big blockbusters, and especially a lot of things being spearheaded by James Gunn, obviously.
Oh, sure, yeah.
They're just going to get pushed back if they have to. They're going to be like...
people who care about art.
We know that we have to think about... And like anything from A24, they're not going to move forward. A lot of the smaller production companies. So you're going to see some things move forward, but not too much.
Yeah.
I think, and especially with so much reliance on wanting to put out more content, wanting to put out quality content, I think a lot of the studios and streamers are noticing right now, like what they need is not more, but better.
Yeah.
And that comes down to writers. So I do think this situation is probably going to resolve itself faster than it won't. But it's It's long overdue.
Netflix is learning this lesson right now when one of their highest rated shows was written by a veteran writer who assembled a good writer's room, and that's what a lot of people are talking about. Like, no, this is like the writers had, like, this is what you do.
Yep.
But to Ryan's point, get ready for some really bad Marvel movies, probably.
No, I don't think so. That's what I was saying, is I think that Disney will push back their projects. I think that they're very much in a lurch right now where, like, Iger and Feige have kind of been coming out and saying, like, we need to shore up quality. Quality is important in our products. So I don't think this is a time where they're going to hit the gas on, don't worry about quality.
If anything, this is an excuse to be like, no, we can't write anything. We have to push everything back. Like,
we need to reassess. Yeah, I don't think, like, we've watched them push projects back this year. I don't think that this is going to make them go,
I don't think Disney won't be the company to do this, but there will be other companies who are like, we still need to make movies, y'all. Money has to be made. Right. And that's what I'm excited for. Like, whatever, like, off-brand superhero movie comes out in 2 years. Like, oh, the Wild Jack. He's that random Image comic character. And, like, yeah, my son wrote it. The producer's son.
All right. Comics. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are about to get another crossover with a Dark Horse comic book called Stranger Things.
This one's kind of weird.
Yeah.
So the TMNT and Stranger Things are going to team up in a title called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles X Stranger Things. This is going to be written by Cameron Chittock.
Really creative with that title there.
With art by Farrow. A 4-issue miniseries and follows the Stranger Things cast on a trip to New York City, but a familiar threat from home comes with them, leading the teens to team up with the iconic Green Heroes.
No. Sorry. There's just one, like,
it would make more sense if it was like Ghostbusters.
I think there's a lot more creative crossovers with TMNT that's already been done. Mm-hmm. And Ryan's right. There's a much more logical one for Stranger Things.
This one doesn't make sense. Like, I don't mind weird crossovers. It just doesn't make sense.
I'll be honest. Like, I feel like the Turtles violate the entire functionality of the characters of Stranger Things being able to be translated at all. Like, if the Turtles are real, these characters are not real. Like, it all becomes like a dream that Will had because he was really into the Turtles at one point. Like, it kind of ruins who they are if they have to grapple with the Turtles are real at the same time. Like, they don't work together.
Are they gonna do something where, like, the origins of something evil is tied to the Upside Down? Like, is that like, because they have to why is the crossover happening? Like, what is the thing? And it might be like, oh, this Turtles villain went to the Upside Down, or like Vecna and Bebop hung out, or whatever.
Shredder teaming up with Vecna is kind of cool.
But, like, here, I'll be honest with you. The most appealing way to me that a crossover like this could be done is if it was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have to deal with the things from Stranger Things, like Upside Down and all that, but leave the kids out of it.
Yeah.
Like, none of the Stranger Things cast comes over. But you have to deal with, like, Upside Down New York City and the same kind of, like, Demogorgons and gross, like, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles now have to have their own Stranger Things type adventure with all the same materials of that, but not with the kids.
And it's like when the Turtles and Batman hang out, though, they both, like, fight crime, and, like, what is Will gonna do with, like, Michelangelo?
Oh, you're definitely gonna get a panel of, like, Dustin
eating pizza,
and Donna, I'm trying to think of which turtle would be most likely to do it. But one of the turtles will be singing with Dustin, like, a song from another famous 80s film.
Mikey.
Yeah.
He's a party dude.
Yeah. It'll be Mikey and Dustin having to save the day by singing the song, and I'll be like, cool.
I will probably like the Stranger Things comics, like, those are fine. Like, I'm even cool with, like, hey, Stranger Things crossing over or something. But again, like, Ghostbusters, like, kind of makes sense. Like, this one just, like, doesn't feel right to me. It just doesn't jive.
There's just no tangible way to make those characters like they are in the show in this comic. Like, they functionally have to change.
Yeah.
It just can't be done.
Also, is it going to be, like, the cartoony Turtles or, like, the really mature Turtles? Like, which incarnation? Like, what's the tone of this book? Because, like, the show's kind of mature.
Who's it for?
It's a mature show.
Lots of kids watch Stranger Things, though.
That's true.
I think, judging by the cover design that I saw, I think it's the current Turtles in the comic.
Got it.
Excuse me, so sorry.
Okay.
Anyway, it's a pass. It's a pass from me, Brandon.
It's also a pass from me.
Oh no. What was I gonna say? This kind of reminds me, like IDW really likes to do these kind of weird crossovers. They did a whole like X-Files crossover that crossed over with Ghostbusters, Transformers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mask, like all sorts of things.
Doctor Who, Star Trek, My Little Pony with Transformers. It's happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just I don't know why this is less believable than X-Files of Transformers for me, but this one's kind of weird.
Yeah, I think what it is truly is that all of the other properties we just named have had weird comics and offshoots and everything. Stranger Things has had comics, but they've all still been grounded in the world of Stranger Things.
It's like realistic. It's like a realistic like. It is. I don't know. It's just weird vibes. I'm sure it'll be totally fine.
You know what has good vibes?
Whatever we're
giving
talking
me
about
some
next.
good vibrations.
Oh, I'm picking up.
Moon Knight, City of the Dead.
Oh, these are some good vibrations.
Oh yeah. Tell me about these vibrations, Brandon.
Written by David Pepose.
David Pepose. He's a current fan favorite of mine. That dude is excellent. I'm so excited for this.
With art by Marcello Ferreira.
Oh, so good.
This will be this will come out after Moon Knight 25, which will be Judd McKay's Moon Knight number 25. Big anniversary issue that introduces Layla El Fouly, the Moon Knight TV series. But Moon Knight City of the Dead will be a 5-issue miniseries where she will debut as the Scarlet Scarab.
Love it.
Dog, this is the best. Like, she was one of the best things about Moon Knight by a pretty huge margin, maybe just behind Oscar Isaac as just a performer. And to have her translated over to the comics is an incredibly great decision.
And very fast too. Like less than a year. Like that's awesome. And like, man, that promo image they put up is like stunning.
I'm
stunning.
I'm thrilled for her. I think this is great. I think it's also awesome because like Moon Knight and Scarlet Scarab can have the luxury of the kind of characters where you only bring them out when you have a good story to tell with them. But that means that like we can get some just excellent Scarlet Scarab stories just splattered around now, and I love that.
Yeah, she'll get her own miniseries one day. Feel it already. Yeah. I'm really excited for this, but I'm excited for my friend David, who follows me on Twitter. Thank you, David. Because he's just a really great up and coming writer. He's done a lot of Marvel Unlimited stuff, like Avengers and X-Men stuff. So like I love when indie guys get the bump up. Yeah. He wrote Savage Avengers, which is awesome, and I'm just like, yeah, Moon Knight, hell yeah.
David did like my Grogu smashing the yes button on this.
There you go.
This announcement.
There you go. It's a great meme.
I will be insufferable.
The plot of this basically is Moon Knight has to go to the City of the Dead, a mind-bending underworld, to help a young runaway.
Love it. I love it. I'm there. Thank you. This is
Sparks,
going to be a yes from me, Brandon.
You want some more good vibes, Sparks?
I do. I love good vibes.
Final Space.
Oh, shit, yo.
What a nice video.
God, what a nice video. Guys, Olan Rogers is such a nice person. He's got really funny, entertaining YouTube videos, like going back quite a few years.
That's how I know him from being a YouTuber.
Same. Yeah. I did too. Yeah. And that's why I followed him
yeah.
into the Final Space project, which is why I jumped on it the moment that he said he was doing it.
Love it.
Final Space is incredible. It's amazing. I wish I could say go check it out, but like... pirate it, I guess, because it's not available anywhere else.
You're making me a pirate. You're making me do this.
Because Zaslav and Warner are kind of terrible in that regard. This was awesome. Oh, yeah. So, anyway, the news is that Olan Rogers put out an announcement video that he managed to work out a take-it-or-leave-it deal with Warner Brothers for a way to end Final Space. There's a lot of restrictions on it. They do seem pretty unfair and ridiculous, but he's at least happy because he gets to end the story on his terms. The restrictions are things like he can't do a Kickstarter, which is just bonkers. He had such wild success with the Godspeed one we talked about when he was doing it when Final Space ended. Mm-hmm. He would have made a crap ton of money from that, and like the fact that he's hampered in that way is ridiculous. He can't make a digital edition, which is a huge bummer.
What?
For a lot of people. Yes, not allowed to make it. It can only be released as a physical copy.
That's awful.
And he must self-publish. He must self-publish.
He's got to put his own money into. Man, that's
he must self-publish.
Like,
these are the restrictions. These are the parameters
paw.
that he's been locked into. But he can make it as long as he wants. It has to be one book. It's going to be a big chunky book. He says
25 issues
because he's going to wrap up everything he possibly can. He's saying it's like a $500 hardcover. A 500-page haul.
Oh, 500.
Sorry, 500-page hardcover.
That's an omnibus, baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. So he's gonna put everything in the kitchen sink into it, as he said. Now he made this announcement video yesterday at the time of recording. This is Tuesday. He made this announcement video on Monday, and he said that he was putting up pre-orders for $125 a copy, but that he's going to keep those pre-orders open all the way up until he starts production, which he doesn't expect to be for a while, so people can save up their money and get in on it. But he had to soft cap at 10,000 copies because he had to be reasonable with what he could self-publish. Mm-hmm. So 10,000 copies has already been pre-ordered as of this morning.
Yeah.
I am one of them. Mm-hmm. Because I saw the writing on the wall pretty fast there. I checked it 3 hours after the announcement and it was at 4,000. I'm like, well, I'm not missing this. So there it is. So he's already talking about like this shows that he can get some more support. He's going to raise the amount. He'll have to constantly, like, while he's figuring it out, reopen and close pre-orders and that kind of thing for now. And he's trying to find a way to distribute it internationally that doesn't require him to ship it from here, but somewhere that will print it overseas.
That would be so expensive.
Because that's part of the problem.
International shipping is so expensive.
Because there's even more people that want to support but are being held back by the shipping.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of stuff. Anyway, finalspaceends.com. You can go get a lot more information about it. You can pre-order it if it's available right now, which maybe it isn't, but keep an eye on it. You can get notifications. Follow Olan Rogers on Twitter, on Instagram, all that kind of stuff, and he'll keep updating about what's going on. This book isn't going to come until sometime 2024, late that year. But I'm happy to wait. I'm excited that he gets to do this. It's great news. That guy's an awesome creative, so I'm just thrilled that he gets to do this. And then that story, because that story's really good, and I look forward to you guys like watching it someday.
It's really awesome. When I heard about this, I was really excited. Just for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited for him. I'm thrilled. He's so incredibly talented. I really hope that like he gets to bloom into something big soon.
I feel like the idea of not letting him do a Kickstarter was to try and not be proven that there's a lot of support for the show.
It's
who can say? It's a pretty dumb restriction.
Also might be some weird legality because like if he doesn't technically like himself own the rights, then he's raising money for something that he doesn't own, which like I don't know, like there could be weird. Like,
then Warner Brothers should just publish it.
I think they're just being assholes. They don't want nothing to do with it.
Right.
But they're like, you could do a book or something.
They could also give entirely the IP just back to him because they're not doing anything with
they
it. They're not even making it available to watch right now. So it's like just give him back all of it.
That would be like a nice thing to do, but you know.
But they won't.
But Zaslav. Yeah.
X's. National Treasure: Edge of History got canceled. You know, there's that.
Can I tell you that I'm shocked?
Not really.
Yeah, I'm not shocked.
I didn't really hear a lot about this show. I was interested. I just didn't. It just kind of disappeared when it aired.
There was a lot of other stuff to do. I still want to go back and watch it.
I'll tell you though,
give it a chance, but
like the buzz was like slightly there because it's new National Treasure, but like I'm online a lot and I didn't see anybody talking about it. If I think it was really good, I feel like
you'd be hearing about it.
I'd be hearing about it.
Yeah, I'm sure it was kindly middle of the road.
And that is the type of thing that dies in the streaming world. Yeah, unfortunately.
But even so, like this is also Disney cracking down on what shows they're going to stream. They're not putting as much as much quantity of content into Disney Plus anymore.
That's a fair assessment, but I also think like it is a bummer because there are others where I'm like, there's definitely some quality there. I might not have been watching the show, but like the Benedict Society one, which we've talked about before, the Mysterious Benedict Society, which clearly had a lot of like good quality stuff to it, and I was hearing good buzz. I just wasn't watching it. That's gone. That's canceled.
Yeah.
So a lot of non-IP Disney Plus originals shows have been canceled. Most of them, not great.
Yeah. It's the time.
Well, Doctor Who had some news.
I was about to do and I'm like, that's wrong.
That's wrong. Oh, I should have got a Doctor Who. I should have known there should have been. I'll get a Doctor Who. Yeah, I'll get that next time.
The composer for the first few seasons, not few, lots of seasons, Doctor Who since it came back in 2005, Murray
everything
Gold.
Everything all the way to the end of Peter Capaldi.
That's a lot.
That's most.
And so he's basically just not the composer for
Jodie Whittaker's.
No, 2017, about 5 years, right?
Yeah, but 5 years, 3 seasons, 4 seasons,
yeah.
3 seasons and some specials.
6 seasons in a movie.
I think just 3 seasons.
Yeah, I think 3 seasons and some specials.
Yeah. But he's coming back. Russell T Davies is coming back, so he brought his good friend Murray Gold back. That's cool. I love Murray Gold. He's gotten some incredible music in that show.
I gotta say, just real quick on that note, like I'm really pumped, and I do need to get myself on the Jodie Whittaker run. I need to get past the Capaldi stuff and into that, because like I think it's really a bummer that I heard good things. Like it wasn't like it was a bomb, but like people treat that the way like that's now the forgettable thing, and I'm like, but we all don't like a lot of the things Stephen Moffat did. It at least sounds like the things Chibnall and Whittaker did were like enjoyable and entertaining. And I'm like, do we have to just treat the female Doctor as forgettable?
Yeah. It sucks when it turns like, yeah.
I mean, that's also kind of like the that's the trouble with like you go from Whittaker to Tennant. Like, and I know the reason why Tennant is here is because they couldn't get Ncuti Gatwa immediately, so they wanted to make sure they could and not wait too long. But kind of does feel like, oh, we're just it's because she's like paired between two white men who people love their doctors. She's forgettable, and I don't agree with that. I think shouldn't forget about her. She's incredible.
It also feels like the Capaldi era and on, like people just weren't as into Doctor Who anymore. It wasn't as big at once, you know.
I mean, that's definitely true. Like,
yeah.
Just as a big, like, international thing.
Like a pop culture
it
thing.
had slipped away a little bit.
Yeah.
But, like, I think there were still people who were passionate about it. And there definitely was a surge of people who came to the show for Whittaker. So, like, there's, like, kind of a seesaw effect of some people left after Capaldi because Whittaker and Chibnall took over. But some people came to the show because of them.
Yeah, it's true. I bet it's going to get a huge resurgence. I think, like, the Doctor will be, like, back. Like, how...
I think it's going to get... Because Disney Plus is going to air it.
It's on, on Disney Plus, like with its bigger budget, it's
going to be huge. That's awesome.
It's going to be big again.
That's awesome.
But I hope, like, I guess what I'm saying is, like, I hope Whittaker and the others who were associated with it, like, in the long run, get talked about more with more fondness. The people who do have a fondness for it get to elevate those voices, because, like, this idea that, it's all kind of forgettable. I'm really rubbing up against, even though I haven't watched it. I'm like, that doesn't seem like an accurate read just from the people who have been liking it during that time.
Yeah. Well, the Ringerverse is currently doing a Doctor Who rewatch
I know.
so it's a perfect chance to get it.
And they're not talking about Jodie Whittaker at
all.
For
a long time. We'll get there eventually.
They're not talking about her at all. Because they've already said, like, they're also skipping most of Capaldi.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, they weren't even going to cover Smith originally, and then they were like, but you guys watch House of the Dragon, and they're like, you're right, we should talk about Matt Smith.
Yeah, that's true. They do love Matt Smith.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
I'm sorry, we didn't really talk about the Murray Gold's coming back. That's great. I don't think modern Doctor Who has a more defined, like, Murray Gold's score for Doctor Who is absolutely nuts. That guy has reinvented the sound of Doctor Who like 7 times, and created new themes like 7 times, for more than just the Doctor, but like all these other characters. Like, he recreates the soundscape of the show every time the Doctor changes, and sometimes that's a regeneration, but sometimes it's just the Doctor changes how they're behaving or who their companion is, and that alters their personality, not so much into regeneration. And he's like, all right, whoop, okay, entirely new soundscape, like this is a brand new show, and it's all bangers. It's all bangers.
I don't remember what season it is with the opening, but it's like where the woo woo has like opera people, like, oh, and I'm like, I just like cool opera dudes in the back. I like opera people.
I think that's once Matt Smith takes over.
I like
if I'm recalling correctly.
It's been so long.
I used to listen to his soundtracks a lot. There's one track, The A Life That Never Was, I think it's called,
Mm-hmm.
which is you just talked about that episode a little earlier, Sparks, with the doctor who just destroyed that family.
Right.
That the song that plays when because in that episode, for those of you who don't know, he has changed his identity to John Smith, and put like, all this Time Lord essence in a fob watch, and so he doesn't remember he's the doctor. But he has this kind of crisis where he's like, well, what about me? What happens to me after I open this? And he starts thinking about his life that he could have with this person that he's fallen in love with. And the music that plays over that life that we're seeing of David Tennant's John Smith, a child growing old, like, is devastatingly beautiful. And I have always remembered that track.
There's a lot of pieces of Murray Gold music that I could point to that I'm like, they make me cry. Like, they make me cry because they're so emotional and they are so somber and sad, and you feel
That's his thing.
And he's got like great up music for the Doctor too, but like he has some emotional beats, just devastating. There's this one, it's one of the more forgotten ones, I think, but not by me, where it's just this haunting piece where he's dealing with the Satan planet.
I love the Satan planet.
He loses that entire space team, and it's just this like really sad, haunting theme, and I'm like, oh god, it really makes you feel when the Doctor Who adventures are sad.
Yeah.
Remember when they go to a planet and there's just a giant demon in a hole? That's
just Satan.
This might be Satan. Love it.
We met that very species brother in the first season's final episode of Torchwood. In fact.
Huh. Would you look at that?
They're related because they use the same assets.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I love Murray Gold. His 11th Doctor piece is incredible. Like, just the theme that he created for the 11th Doctor.
Right.
I love that. I love that piece of music.
Sure. Yeah. Whew. All right.
We're getting some good music soon.
I'm excited.
All right, Spark. Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yes. Tell me.
I'm sorry. We should wait for Ben.
No. He decided to go to Hawaii. He knew what would happen.
Well, Knuckles, the TV series.
As the biggest Sonic fan on this podcast, I feel like I have the authority to be able to talk about it. In fact, I haven't met a bigger Sonic fan yet, so here we go. Yeah, okay. Nothing was more exciting, and I know it was to Ben too, than the fact that they released this promotional image and they put his big stupid cowboy hat in it. And I can't tell you how excited I am that dumb hat is going to be in this show.
He's going to be a sheriff in these parts.
Oh, it's so good, guys. He looks so goofy in this hat. I'm so excited.
And then remember, it's Idris Elba.
These deep cuts. And I have to be honest, like, that promotional image got me excited. The synopsis for the show gives me a little bit of pause.
Yeah, I'll be honest.
So here's short synopsis. We'll follow Knuckles as he agrees to train Wade, Alan Paley's character, as his protege and teach him the ways of the Echidna warrior.
Adam Paley.
Adam Paley, what did I say?
Alan Paley.
Alan.
Definitely didn't mean to.
It's okay. So, how long has that been going on? I will say, like, I really like Adam Paley. I think he's very funny. I've liked him since Happy Endings. That being said, this plot is not necessarily what I had in mind for a Knuckles show in this space. I'm gonna reserve judgment because, like, they've impressed me with the show, and I really like Idris Elba's Knuckles, and they clearly have a love for all the Sonic stuff. Mag's bringing up.
Hi, Mag. We have a new format, and I didn't see your chat, but thank you for being in the chat. I appreciate you.
Yeah. I'll tell you, Mag, real quick, because we're catching up. Ben did see Evil Dead Rise. He saw it with us. We're going to say what happened with him, how he's feeling about it. And I also love the Sonic OVA. So does Ben. That's where the Knuckles hat comes from. Yes, they clearly have an affection for the Sonic franchise, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fun stuff and Easter eggs. And, like, I gotta hold out the faith. And I like the rest of this cast list. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I do too.
So I'm like, I don't love this premise, but I gotta think there's more on the table than there is.
And, like,
that being said, the wedding subplot in Sonic 2 was surprisingly entertaining.
Yeah,
so.
and like Adam Pally is a really funny guy, and I know like the character of Wade, like I'd have to revisit it this because like I honestly don't remember if I liked him or not. I just remember him being like the goofy guy, so like I can't remember if I liked him.
I think
not.
he's better in the second one.
Okay.
Where he's now functionally the sheriff, and he's trying to like I think he played well as being like the opposite to Robotnik's underling.
Yes.
And he like tries to come into the coffee
Stone.
shop and he's like, "What's wrong with the scone?"
That's right. Okay, yeah. Because I do like him, so like yeah, it's just like I'm training a cop.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm like yeah, we'll see.
So Jeff Fowler, who directed the first 2 Sonic films, will direct the pilot for this episode for this series.
Cool.
It's gonna be set between 2 and 3. So
That's
that.
That's Sonic universe crazy.
I'll change my mind completely about this premise not working for me if by the end Wade can in fact kick butt on near a level of what Knuckles can do.
Yeah.
Can you imagine him with the flaming knuckle arms?
That's part of the thing is like can he just like brawl really well after this? Because if that's fine, that's it.
Kid Cudi, Edie Patterson from Knives Out and Violent Night, Julian Barrett from The Great, Ellie Taylor from Ted Lasso. A lot of Ted Lasso actors getting cast in things.
They're great.
Rory McGann from Game of Thrones, and Tika Sumpter from she's Maddie. She's James Marsden's wife in the movies.
Yeah,
right on.
All been added to the cast.
Cool. Yeah, I'm hopeful.
If I can,
there's a lot of reason to have faith.
Yeah, like with Jeff Fowler, like definitely being involved. With like, if this is around the similar quality of Sonic 1, more like Sonic 2, then like I'll be happy to be there. Yeah.
Star Trek news.
Engage.
Hey.
No, that's.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I accidentally hit a Batman button. Sorry, that was a spoiler. I just spoiled the podcast that we have a Batman button on here. Sorry, y'all.
All right. Well, so Star Trek. So Paramount Plus surprised us this week by saying that a straight-to-streaming movie is in development, centered around Section 31.
Ooh.
Ooh.
What does it mean? What does it mean?
Definitely not at all in response to the fact that Michelle Yeoh has now won an Oscar.
Definitely.
So Michelle Yeoh is attached to star in this movie because turning as a character of Emperor Giorgio. Look, real quickly, for those of you who don't know, Michelle Yeoh played Captain Giorgio of the USS Shenzhou. She dies in the second episode. 6 episodes later, we meet her mirror universe counterpart, who is the Emperor of the Terran Army, the Terran Empire. So then she comes with them to the Prime timeline, and she is recruited by Section 31, where she is one of the main antagonists of Season 2. Great season. Then she goes with the Discovery to the 32nd century, where James Cronenberg.
David Cronenberg.
Remember? Older one.
The director?
Yeah.
That's David Cronenberg.
Their younger one?
That's Brandon Cronenberg.
So David Cronenberg. He tells, so Michelle Yeoh starts spazzing out. She's like, oh my god, why am I spazzing out? So David Cronenberg, who's the scientist of the Federation, we think is probably evil at this point, but we're not sure. He says, hey, the reason why your molecules are tearing themselves apart is because your universe, the mirror universe, and the Prime timeline aren't close together anymore, so you need to go to a point where they are close together again. So they meet the Guardian of Forever on a different planet, and the Guardian of Forever is like, here's how you changed. Now go back to some point in the past. We don't know where she ended up. We haven't seen her since Season 3.
And she showed up in a warehouse.
Now you're all caught up. So the Section 31 movie will pick up with this character of Emperor Giorgio. We think probably back in the 23rd century where she was from. And this is going to kind of launch Phase 2. Alex Kurtzman talked about this is going to launch Phase 2 of the Star Trek universe. He wants to do more straight-to-streaming movies, kind of make event movies like this more and more. Everyone's really excited that Michelle Yeoh is coming back. Michelle Yeoh is really excited. Paramount Plus is yay, we have an Oscar-winning actor, because Sparks is absolutely correct. This is only happening because she won an Oscar.
Yeah. It was.
I'll be honest with you. Like, it probably could have been enough if she just was nominated. They would have moved forward.
Yeah.
But like,
it was sitting on a shelf, and then that movie came out. They're like, hey, can we fast track that, maybe?
Because they had ordered a show based on Section 31 after Discovery season 1. So Section 31 was going to be a TV show starring Michelle Yeoh, and then that ended up in development hell. Apparently, was quietly canceled. And then she won an Oscar, and they're like, "So you don't want to do a series? How about a movie?"
A lot shorter, same paycheck.
She's like, I'll only do a show for Disney Plus now.
Yeah, I'll show up for 10 minutes, maybe. Let's be honest.
She looks like she's in it more than that.
Okay, possible.
So obviously Michelle Yeoh will star Olatunde Osunsanmi. Directed a couple episodes of Star Trek Discovery. He's going to direct this movie. Craig Sweeney, who created the Limitless TV series, also wrote for Star Trek Discovery, just one episode. He's going to write the movie. And so hopefully... So Kurtzman's like, yeah, we're going to make streaming movies every 2 years for Paramount Plus is the hope after this movie comes out.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, hey, more Star Trek. And honestly, like, there's no reason... So quickly, I'll just talk about it a little bit. The idea of a Section 31 TV series bores the shit out of me. I don't think Section 31 is very interesting to follow for a TV series. Because what we know them... The Section 31 works because we don't know a lot about them, so focusing so much time to develop them kind of takes away their effectiveness. And Section 31, for those of you who don't know, is the kind of shady side of the Federation. They're based off the Federation Charter that they're racist. They're racist assholes. They're xenophobic, and they're like, we don't, we want... Nobody remembers this, but Peter Weller from Star Trek in the Darkness worked for Section 31.
Oh, there you go. He was a bad guy. There you go.
Yeah. So that's kind of who they are. A TV show about them, I wasn't really too interested in, but I kind of like the idea of a movie and having Giorgio come back to star in that movie. I think you have a opportunity here to maybe tell a really unique story with her maybe at odds with Section 31 rather than working for them. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Two antagonists in your movie, maybe.
Yeah.
Have her be like the protagonist bad guy against the other like quote unquote bad guys. Yeah, the black ops.
Because she's kind of an anti-hero, and it would be really weird for her to go back to Section 31 if that's really where her arc goes.
Yeah.
She was one of the best parts of that show. When she left, boy, it really lost something. She left to win an Oscar, so there's that.
Not so bad.
Kind of off the heels of actually something else, but close around this. It was revealed that Paramount Plus is the third studio network to try and develop a Galaxy Quest TV series.
I thought there was one like coming out. I thought that one was happening.
Amazon was developing the last one, and then Alan Rickman died, and they scrapped it.
Oh, rip.
Now Paramount Plus is going to get in on it, and Mark Johnson, who is the producer of the original film as well as Breaking Bad, he's attached to this one.
Cool. Fun, fun take on Star Trek, but actors. I'll do another Galaxy Quest. Sure, why not? It's been more than 20 years. I'll allow it.
Yeah, I think they had the wrong instincts to cancel the film to cancel the series after Alan Rickman died, but I think enough time has passed where you can do something kind of interesting. I kind of want them to do a parody of Star Trek Picard, though. So like Tim Allen's character is on the like they rebooted Galaxy Quest.
Yeah.
And it's just Tim Allen's character, and the conflict is how everyone's pissed off at him for taking this role and leaving them in the dust.
I'll be honest, I'm not gonna watch a Galaxy Quest show if Tim Allen's on it. I hope it's a reboot.
Oh yeah, like they completely reboot.
Yeah, I thought that's what we were talking about.
No, I'm sure they want to get back as much of the original cast as possible.
Oh,
at least that's been the goal the last few times.
I guess.
My thing with it, Brandon, is that that's the same plot as the movie.
Yeah.
It was the only way I could think of to make it interesting, because I actually don't think you should do a Galaxy Quest TV series.
I'm just saying, do the movie, but make it a TV show and just add much more to it. Just like Westworld became much more than that movie. Like you can, there's like great version.
You're talking reboot.
Yeah,
yeah. What's most likely is that this is probably a sequel.
Yeah, I just hope it's not, because I guess it's fun if you just have, hey, we're all back again on doing the same thing again. Like, I think it's just more fun.
At least he's just blatantly an asshole in that movie.
That's true.
Doesn't he become less of an asshole?
That's more like, does he become less of an asshole, or does circumstances just
allow him to?
No, I was gonna say require him to behave better.
Yeah.
Sure. I agree with Ryan, quite frankly. Like, if you wanted to do a Galaxy Quest reboot, like as a TV series, new cast of characters, expand on the movie, do some fun things, I'm so down with that. But if this is a sequel, I'm not sure you can do it again. I just don't think you can.
Would you
recapture?
Would you do that, or would you just start from scratch again?
That's reboot. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
No. Yeah, I mean I don't mean reboot. I mean like full remake. Like none of the movie ever happened. So you have
That's what I was talking about.
A whole new Star Trek style show crew that gets abducted by aliens and thrust into that, but like you can now flesh out in a show how these characters are going through being put into space and all this kind of stuff.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay, when you say reboot, what I'm thinking of is in the world of the film, a new show is being made with legacy characters who are now taken into space the same way the original people were.
That's just...
So you leave yourself, because reboot is different from remake, and if you're rebooting, then you are bringing back at least elements from the original. So like if the original movie happened, at least like Tony Shalhoub shows up still or something.
Sure. I just separate yourself from that movie. That's all I'm saying. Do something new. You could do that movie again with an entirely new cast, new script.
Okay, here's my pitch, though. Justin Long's character has made the new show.
Okay.
And he thinks the way to make it the best is to take the crew into space to make the show.
Oh.
Because they have, like, communicated technology now. Sure. And so he's trying to get some of the old Galaxy Quest crew to come along and do it, but he's also wanting to launch in these new characters and how that riffs in the relationships and him trying to film a show.
Get the gang back
in
together.
Space.
Yeah. I don't hate it.
Isn't that fun?
I don't hate it. I just... Not everything has to be a legacy sequel.
No, it doesn't. But I do think... Sorry, real quick, Brandon. I do think that the thing that works for the parody of it is the fact that that was parodying Star Trek then, and I think if you are doing the baked-in legacy stuff now, you can parody Star Trek now. Even if we're just talking about the Chris Pine Star Trek films.
Yeah.
Like, you can parody those things with what you decide to do here.
I'll tell you what. I'll allow this to be a legacy sequel, and like all those characters come back, but I don't want them to be the stars. I just want them to be the cameos.
Sure.
I'll allow that.
I don't want Tim Allen to get attached to a TV series where his legacy character is supposed to pass on the torch, only to end the series with him saying, actually, I'm the one and only.
Oh, is that what happens at the end of that show? Oh, wow.
It's weird to bring up Last Man Standing on the Figure Podcast.
That's not Home Improvement. That was Taz. What are we doing?
Santa Claus. I'm just going to tell you, the Santa Claus makes Scott Calvin the special snowflake Santa Claus. Not special snowflake Santa Claus, but like the chosen one Santa Claus, because like all the Santa Clauses in the universe have been ethereal beings who have been manifested by the times that they were created in, except for Scott Calvin, who was the original Santa Claus, who was the original Santa Claus's personal pick to be the next generation Santa Claus. Because he met him as a child who said, and he was like, this guy understands Christmas more than anyone else.
So you're telling me that in Santa Claus died on purpose on that roof?
He didn't die. He just dissipated. We get to see the scene again.
He does Obi-Wan.
He was struck down to become something more powerful than Tim Allen could possibly imagine.
Woke.
So Tim Allen is like, so I was supposed to be like the Santa Claus. Like, yeah, I really thought like a human Santa Claus was really what the North Pole needed.
I need us to move on.
I'm really happy you told me that, because I was never gonna watch that show, and I'm like, man, he just can't help himself, can he?
Krampus is in it. That's fun.
Well, okay, all right.
Is it?
It was fun for the 2 seconds.
Let's move on.
Anyway, so now you know the plot of the Santa Claus. Educational.
Love it.
Craven the Hunter is going to have Rhino.
Oh wait, is Craven the Hunter a Spider-Man character?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye.
Rhino's going to be in it.
The Rhino. So listen, so the only news you put in here, Brandon, is that the Rhino's in the movie. And that is the least interesting thing that I heard out of CinemaCon about this movie. This movie is hardcore, violent, rated R. Craven is murdering folks. He is ripping throats out. The Rhino is a like cool, like Jekyll and Hyde, like big, like cool monster. Russell Crowe rules. Apparently this movie is going to be awesome. And I'm so excited. I've been cautiously optimistic since the beginning, hearing about the casting and the creative team and stuff, but like hearing that it is like, it is the Craven movie that you'd actually want. It's not. They're not dumbing it down or anything, or kidifying it.
Look, they're absolutely gonna have me until we get to the post-credit scene where Morbius and Vulture fly up to him in a desert and they tell him, "Hey, man, you want to like track down Spider-Man?"
Yeah, and I'll hate that scene, and I'll love the 2 hours that I watched before.
No, for sure.
I'm so excited for this. Again, like I wish they would have showed Madam Web footage because I'm still really curious about that movie too.
I mean, I only put this one here because this was kind of a note because we should talk about what CinemaCon was showing. And they showed a trailer that apparently really blew audiences away and actually made me. I've never been interested in this movie, and listening and reading the descriptions of what was shown, I was like, oh, actually, this kind of sounds cool.
Yeah, I am hey man, anything could be good, but like you just need to see the proof in the pudding, and apparently this pudding is very violent, and I'm like, I love me some blood pudding.
I think you should get that checked out by a doctor.
Yeah, I feel awful.
Anyway, yeah, I'm always of the opinion that if they're going to continue to do these Spider-Man villain movies, they should do something interesting and weird more than anything else, which is why I've been interested in Madam Web, because that feels like the most potential. And now I'm kind of like, oh, okay, you have my attention with this one.
Yeah. Interesting.
Lilo and Stitch got a big casting happened with Lilo and Stitch.
And recasting.
Yeah. Kahio? Chada. Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce the name. Was cast as David, and then he said the N-word and was recast with what is it? Hippo Dudoit.
So it was funny because we got the first casting announcement, and before he did anything bad or whatever, we're like, yeah, like they're kind of like again, we brought the colorism thing from last week of like they should have picked a darker skinned character, to fully represent the button and stuff like that. And then they just said, like the next day, like, hey, here's that character. Here's a new actor. He's darker skin. And I'm just like, did Disney actually like listen to? No, the guy's an asshole, and he got fired. Yeah. I'm like, oh, I actually thought Disney like listened, and they were like, no, you guys are right. Do you remember? God, what was it? Oh, it was Hellboy. An actor left Hellboy because he was playing a character who was Asian in the comics, and he left the project. And he's like, yeah, you're right. I shouldn't be playing this role. And I love that.
Daniel Kim.
Yes, it was Daniel Kim who played it. It was It was the bad guy from Deadpool 2. I forget that guy's name. But that was so cool. And I'm like, I thought that was what's happening here. The opposite. The guy's actually a huge asshole and he deserves to be fired.
So now we had no explain. David Courtney B. Vance from Lovecraft Country, The Hunt for Red October, many movies and shows.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Has been cast as Cobra Bubbles.
He's really great. I'm just saying, Nonzo Anansi was right there.
Apparently a rumor came out that an actress named Jolene Purdy was from WandaVision Superstore had been cast as a new character, Child Services Agent Mrs. Kikoa. Don't know if that is still true or if both these characters are in the movie, but it sounds like it's just Cobra Bubbles from just the casting announcement.
Got some bad news.
Yeah.
I'm still cautiously excited for this one.
Sanders is in final talks to return to Stitch.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
he should be.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And Billy Magnuson is rumored, because last week we talked about Billy Magnuson's casting. He's rumored to be playing Pleakley.
Yeah, that's probably true.
That skinny
I don't
one?
know
Is
who
that
else he'd
skinny
be.
one? That skinny guy?
Yes.
Skinny one.
Yeah.
And that it would be him and Zach Galifianakis.
Yeah, they're funny.
As, Jumba.
I love those guys.
Yeah.
Sure.
Galifianakis as Jumba is interesting.
I mean, like, what else do you do?
Yeah, I guess so. I always pictured
Jack
Jumba
Black?
with a. Yeah,
Lilo,
Yes. Okay, but here's the thing: Jack Black can play anything. That's not.
That's true.
I think Zach Galifianakis is pretty good for Jumba.
I mean, it's gonna be a CGI character anyway.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, like his performance will shine through. I'm sure.
Yeah. Hope for a good thing. Apparently, it's gonna start filming soon. I thought it was way down the line, but it's
That's why
getting
we're
ready.
hearing so much because they're
Ramping up.
Yeah, and Moana is supposed to shoot soon, and I'm like, please no.
No.
Anyway, what do you get if not Chris Sanders? You gotta get Chris Sanders.
I mean, a lot of people can do a Stitch impression.
You get an
That's true.
AI generated voice.
Ugh.
Oh, dark days, dark days.
Yeah.
The Monsterverse. I didn't want to put this in trailers because this was just like 2 seconds. But there was a teaser. There was kind of a promo image that introduced what is potentially the new monster, the new big bad monster, and the title: Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire.
Is this a King Caesar?
That's an orangutan.
No,
It's an orangutan.
it's a lot of Twitter conversation of people like trying to turn this into like this could be King Caesar.
Where are the
And
big
everyone's
goofy
like, no,
ears? Y'all, come on. Have you seen what that head looks like? No, he's got big orangutan arms. This is gonna be like, hey, Kong, why'd you abandon your people? We were here the whole time. I'm gonna be the new Kong. Godzilla, help me. Gigan, why are you here? I can dream.
Gigan.
No, you get into my main thing, which is I'm excited for this, but if this movie is basically slightly rinse and repeat of the previous one, except instead of fighting Mechagodzilla, they're fighting another Kong, it's going to be a little bit of a whiff.
It would be cool if just like they meet the bad guy and they're both just like, yo, we're on the same team, right? From the get-go. Like, we don't need to do that thing where, like, we're fighting and then we become friends at the end. Like, again, like, we've done that so many times. It's like, yo, clearly this is the bad guy, right, Kong? You got it. Yeah, we're good.
I assume that Kong's going to get his ass kicked.
Yeah.
By this other Kong and go get Godzilla.
Sounds like this Kong is... So at the end of Godzilla vs. Kong, we know that Kong ends up in the Hollow Earth. While Monarch or whoever is working with Kong is trying to uncover the main origins of where this Hollow Earth came from, where the Titans came from, they uncover this guy. This guy is in the Hollow Earth, and Kong is kind of muscling in on his territory on accident.
Yeah.
And it also looks like this Kong is a kaiju killer because this might be the reason why Godzilla and Kong's family species are all gone.
Yeah,
this guy.
I think that is like some, again, from like this like teaser promo thing.
I think
like the implication. I think
Kong's gonna get his ass kicked, and then he's gonna go to a hole and he's gonna shout up "bitch" to Godzilla, and then when Godzilla gets down there, he's gonna point at this other Kong and be like, "He did it."
I like to imagine that giant hole. Where is that? Is it in Tokyo? Where did that happen?
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong.
Kong.
I like to imagine that hole just exists forever, and it's just like if you need me, yell here, and he just like he's got to run to his gun. He's like, bitch.
My favorite thing from Godzilla vs. Kong is that hole and just Godzilla just yelling down to the center of the earth just to fight Kong.
Dan Stevens is in this one,
Right.
Like, so automatically, like, he's a charmer. That's great.
I really hope for something good here, because my main thing is I just desperately want to see, I don't care if it's new, like not something we've seen before reinvented, but just brand new kaiju, or if it is more Toho kaiju reinterpreted or whatever. I just want more diverse kaiju. So I really hope that we get more than just like a couple of moments like we did in Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yeah.
The movie's coming out March 15th, 2024, so next year.
Oh,
Also,
shit.
I won't lie, I kind of wish the title was better.
Kong X, is it Kong or Godzilla first?
Godzilla X Kong. They wouldn't put Kong's name first.
Well, I'm just like, whatever sounds better. Like, what is this, Fast and the Furious? What are we
We
doing?
could have done a little better.
Could have done a little better.
the new
This
Empire.
is borderline Batman v Superman.
Yeah, that's what yeah. But like
Give me a subtitle.
yeah.
Dawn of
The New Empire.
Big Booty.
New Empire.
Yeah, it's the New Empire. The big booties. The New Empire of booties.
Yeah, you know. I mean, it's first was Godzilla and Kong.
Wait, this movie's called The New Empire?
Yeah.
Captain America. Oh, it's New World Order. That's what it's called.
World Order.
I thought it was like it's also the New Empire.
Make a slash or something. Godzilla, Kong. You want to put both of them
I think
in
a
there?
slash. Honestly, I would have been fine with a slash, but make it X like a little try hard.
2 slashes. You added 2. You added 1 slash too many.
Hunter X Hunter. The X is silent.
Conjuring. CinemaCon is talking about. It has happened this week. Today. Was
Sorry,
the one
got
from
it
the
real
show.
quick. Godzilla, A Tale of Two Kongs. Okay, continue.
Beautiful.
We did it. Cut. Print. Conjuring is getting a new film. This is after we just found out it was getting a TV series. The Conjuring Last Rites will be the 4th film in the Conjuring franchise. Potentially last.
Last,
Last
in
Rites?
the Conjuring
The
or
Conjureverse.
last
Yeah,
in the
so, like-
universe.
Like no more of the Warrens.
That's
Sure.
fine. That's fine.
But we still don't know if that show's about the Warrens or not.
The
and,
Young
like,
Warrens.
By the way, you guys talked about it last week. I'd be into a Young Warrens show.
Oh yeah, me too.
Makes
yeah,
sense.
but I do think it's hard to recast those characters.
Yeah, I do too.
Well, I'll wait to find out who's making this movie, my friends.
Yeah.
I bet it's the same director and probably a different writer.
I wish it was David F. Sandberg.
Me too. Oh, he's free now. He's not doing any more superhero movies.
Let him come back and make Conjuring 4.
Let him cook.
We talked about him making the show, but like, let him come back and make the movie.
Yeah.
The Nun 2 is apparently looks awesome.
Good.
So did the first one.
That's
No,
true.
like in trailers, yeah.
Yeah. Horror movies are maybe the best, like the best to worst example of like, wow, this looks good and it turns out.
No, because like a trailer is basically a short film.
Yeah.
Like and horror ones are very easy to get across the main thing and honestly play with tension and fear.
Yeah.
Wonka. We now know that Hugh Grant is going to be playing an Oompa Loompa.
This means nothing to me.
Oh, that's rich.
It's gonna be a pass from me, Brandon.
That's rich like chocolate.
I'm kind of interested in Wonka. Timothy Chalamet doing a musical.
It's directed by like a really good director too. I forget
Yeah.
who. I think it's the Paddington guy actually. He's the guy directing Wonka. So like I have full faith. I just gotta, and again I trust the Chalamet. So we'll see.
I just more than anything, I'm just always amused at the roles Hugh Grant is going for these days.
Yeah.
I'm just a little Wonka'd out, my friends.
From what?
All of Wonka.
What's the most recent Wonka?
Like an amount of movies is not necessarily all I mean. Like
No, I'm just trying to think.
there's
Like
been,
I haven't had any Wonka like since like the Tim Burton one, like
Yeah.
12 years ago.
Right, yeah, that was the last film.
I guess I'd need more to feel Wonka out from 12 years ago, personally. Yeah. I'm excited. I just want to see Dune 2 more than anything. I don't need Wonka. I just want Dune 2.
Do you
I mean,
think
he wrote a
Netflix-
real sandworm.
Do you think Netflix will rush to get their Wonka product out at the same time?
But they are
close.
working on one, aren't they?
They have Roald Dahl stuff, so they have it.
Yeah, Matilda rules. That's a roll. That
was great.
That's a Wonka.
It was helped a lot by the fact that they were adapting from the musical. That was very good. But
Mhm.
like, yeah, it was real good.
That's
it
a
was
Wonka.
solid.
Yeah, I don't know. Interested to see how this one turns out.
Yeah.
Fast 11. Louis Leterrier to direct. Kind of figured that was probably going to be the case.
That's good. That's good. That means that like they like we talked about the first Fast X trailer. We'll talk about the next one, but just from the first one, I think the action looks really good. I think it looks like a fun action movie. So like, instead of having to get another director to finish it, why not just stick with the guy? And like it does make sense.
Especially because it's supposed to like part 1, part 2.
Yeah.
And Christina Hodgson, who wrote Birds of Prey and The Flash, as well as many things. Guys, look up Christina Hodgson. She rules.
Yeah, she does.
And Gren Uziel, who wrote 22 Jump Street and Mortal Kombat 21. Not much else, but those are pretty good.
22 Jump Street's like legitimately incredible, so that's all right with me.
And they are writing the script,
He
replacing.
definitely wrote that soul suck line.
They are going to write the script for Fast 11. They're replacing Dan Mezua. and Justin Lin. Obviously, Justin Lin wrote the film. Dan Mazzia, by the way, only has 3 writing credits, and I thought this was awesome. He wrote Wrath of the Titans and Fast X. That's it.
Hell yeah. Man, the Christina Hodson thing gives me a lot of faith because like that is a person who gets like big character and action. So like that's cool, and they already have like a pretty established script that they're just gonna change and do. So like seems like a winner to me.
But she also wrote Bumblebee, and I think Bumblebee is incredible.
Yeah, it's big time.
Yeah, Christina Hodgson's wonderful. Like her being on this is gonna be interesting. Railers
with a T.
So we're not doing T's. Okay, Eine Uns University.
Or Eine, or Uni, or a little Uni. Hey, I loved Tiny Toons growing up. Did you?
I watched it.
I liked it. I won't say loved, but I liked it.
I'm very passionate. I'm sorry.
No,
I think this. I'm kidding. That's a joke. I think this looks really charming. I don't know if I'll watch it, but I think this looks like they're putting effort into it. Like if I had a kid, I would absolutely like watch it with them. I think this looks like hey, it's like that show again. It's awesome.
I will be honest and say that I like what's script wise in this show. I think the animation, I wish that they had more of a budget, I guess. I'm not sure where the breakdown would be, but like it doesn't look as good to me as the other Looney Tunes show cartoon shorts that we were getting just a bit ago, nor does it look as good as I think its contemporary, the Animaniacs show over on Hulu. I just think the animation is a notch under the quality that I think it deserves to be, and not as dynamic as I feel like a 2023 show cartoon should look. And I'm not necessarily blaming them. I'm sure that there's restrictions that have caused that, but like, I wish it looked a little better visually. Personally, I still think everything else they're doing looks very good.
Yeah,
It looks really funny.
Yeah, I am not the animation station that you are. But I definitely did notice this. It doesn't look as good as other shows, but like
it looks like a show from 6 years ago, animation wise.
Yeah.
Like maybe even more. And like that really threw me because like I haven't seen a new show look like that.
I think
for a while.
it might be a budget thing because like I do think it still looks. I don't watch as much as you, but like I still it looks, despite maybe looking old, I still think it looks good.
Yeah.
All right, Prehistoric Planet Season 2.
Yeah. Can you believe that they went back in time and filmed these dinosaurs
Again?
Why would you do that a second time?
No, it looks good. It looks just as good as the first one.
I really love the first season. And like the first season, they're doing a 5-night event, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I think this looks really good. I really I cannot overstate how much I like that first season. The VFX look awesome. It's interesting because the VFX look just as good as they did in the first season. So I wonder how long the second season was in development for, because that first season took a long time to develop.
Sure.
And obviously it wasn't just they didn't develop this in a year.
Their visual effects artists are very good at knowing what like nature in motion looks like and then translating that into these CGI dinosaurs, and I'm like, yeah, you understand how nature looks. Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
There are some points where I'm like, yeah, that's CG. There's some points where I'm like, damn, damn, we've come a long way. It's incredible.
The only thing that anybody can contribute something good to the Lion King is Prehistoric Planet. This Favreau went from developed all the technology on Lion King and took it to Prehistoric Planet.
Big time. Produced by Johnny Favs.
That's the circle of life right there, my friends.
Get David Attenborough's name actually in the title. Now it's Prehistoric Planet with David Attenborough.
Nice. Sure. Get that loot.
Star Trek: Strange New Worlds Season 2.
The Attenboroughs, they just can't get away from their dinosaurs.
Never.
Strange New World Season 2. Boy, Brandon, this just looks terrible. What a downhill trend this show is on.
He would say on April Fool's Day.
Just sobbing.
No, it looks good.
Yeah, we're gonna get he's gonna get the whole family to watch it. Season 1. Because I remember I brought this up a couple weeks ago, but like I had that conversation with you of like I would love for them to do like the original show, but like modern times, and that's kind of like the feel of what this is. Like Kirk's here and Spock's here, and like that's awesome. And like it looks like a great show. Man, this is like the best looking show I've ever seen. Like that, it looks so good. Like just the trailer, I'm like, this is a budget. Holy shit, this looks really really good. I'm excited. I'm excited to catch up and watch it.
Once again, like the first season, a lot of color, which is a major thing I really appreciate about Strange New Worlds. Is it's just very bright, very colorful, and I really like that. That's continuing. Prominent characters that I love featured. I did have Ryan watch this trailer because I was like, it's not really gonna spoil anything from season 1. It's kind of, I feel like this trailer, this particular one, is still trying to kind of get an audience. That's why I described it to Ryan. This feels like a trailer for season 2 that's still kind of trying to go, hey, this is coming, go watch season 1 because you might like this. Here you go, this is what it's like. Strange New Worlds.
So strange.
I think this looks incredible. Strange New Worlds was my favorite show of last year. It was number 1 when you go back to our top 15s.
It was in my top 15, so there's something.
I think it's incredible, and this season looks really good, looks really fun. I love the look of it. It does look better, I think, visual effects wise than the first season in many places. Love seeing these characters back, especially Spock and Chapel, and I never thought I'd be excited to see Nurse Chapel.
Oh, that is Nurse Chapel. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Good point.
Yeah.
And she's
great in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's utterly awful in the original series, but they like really turned that character into someone that you can root for and love. And we know we're getting an Ortega's episode this year. I'm excited to see that.
Bless it.
There's a bit in the beginning where they cut through an asteroid with the phasers spinning around. Awesome stuff. I love that ship. I love that Constitution class bastard. Anson Mount looking as sexy as ever.
Engage.
Yeah, I'm super excited. And Klingons. Oh my goodness, the Klingons. The Klingons look like real Klingons.
The Klingons look like Klingons.
They did it. They did it. They decided, like, hey, you know that Klingon design from Star Trek Discovery 1 and 2? We're sorry. Here's what we should have done.
And you got lizards. You got the Gorn.
Oh my god, I think that the snarly thing that's looking at La'an Sparks, I think that's a Gorn, like a full-grown Gorn.
Oh yeah, big boy Gorn.
The Gorn are
Yeah,
nasty.
We're gonna see a real Gorn.
I know about the Gorn.
Things I never thought you'd say.
Yeah. It's very funny. If you go back to our Fake Nerds watch, like, there's this whole, like, opening of an episode that had been about, like, the first big thing about the Gorn, and I was just going on about the Gorn, and Brandon's like, you're talking about the Gorn.
I never thought it'd happen. I'm really excited to watch this season, and I'm really excited that Sparks likes the show, and I'm excited to get Ryan into it. There will be a Fake Nerds Watch series on Strange New Worlds. I gotta figure out who to do it with.
When is it? June?
Me. Me? You do it
You
with
and me. I wasn't sure if you wanted to be like a guest star or a permanent.
No, I was offended when I wasn't invited to episodes last time.
Okay. I'm doing it with Sparks now.
There you go. And maybe Ryan.
I'm gonna watch it.
Ryan.
I'm definitely gonna watch it.
There you go.
Yeah, let's do it. And then I'll have Ben for Lower Decks.
Yeah.
Get him to catch up.
Yeah.
All right, The Boogeyman.
This is a much better trailer than the first one.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
The
worst therapist in the world? Beginning of this?
Unless it is the Boogeyman.
unless she...
Oh, unless she's the Boogeyman?
There's that shot where she's like, it's just your sister and you and me. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, again, this is one of those things where, like, this movie could be incredible or awful, but, like, the scares that they're giving us in this trailer are really, really good. Really good.
I think the most important thing about this trailer is, like, that it's shown me twice that it's willing to go, like, balls out after the adults.
Yes.
And that makes me really, really like it. Because, like, the shot where she's, like, coming back towards the door and the door bursts open, and then, obviously, the dad getting grabbed at the end, I'm like, okay, we're doing some stuff.
It's got a little Leia from Obi-Wan.
Because... Sorry, real quick. Like, the thing is that it makes you... It's doing what Stephen King tends to do best in his stories, which is, like, it's breaking away those things that make you feel safe in watching it.
Yeah.
And a lot of other movies in the style of The Boogeyman, especially based off that first trailer I watched, I'm like, all right, but, like, it's never really going to get that bad. And now I'm like, oh, no, maybe it isn't safe.
Yeah.
Maybe it will get bad. Ooh.
Yeah, it's always fun. Like that opening scene of like the red light, and you're just looking for something in the back.
Bit.
Yeah, it's a really good bit. A lot of like good shadow play in the trailer. Looks like a good time. You know, Stephen King, Ben's best friend. Gotta support.
I bet Ben's not here to talk about his love for this trailer. I'm sure this really like got
He's
him
really
going.
excited for it though.
Yeah.
He stands a king.
Insidious, the Red Door.
Bagul.
I'm
He's
a
back.
really big fan of the first 2 Insidious films. I think the first
Same.
one.
Are there 3?
There's more than 3.
Oh.
This is 4. This is 5, I think.
I think you might be right, but I'll be honest. If you told me this was 6, it wouldn't surprise me.
Sure.
I know that the third one is kind of like. I think the third one is about the psychic and is a prequel.
Oh, sure.
And then the fourth one is like totally, almost entirely unrelated. But the first 2 are the ones I've seen, and the first one I thought was groundbreaking for horror films at the time. It's kind of when horror movies started to like really kick back in. This was also when like The Conjuring was coming around.
It was like back to back.
This is when like big blockbuster horrors were coming back around in a big way.
Yeah.
And this is James Wan, obviously, back when Insidious 1 and 2 were made. Those were Wan. Incredible, like really, really good stuff. I think that Insidious has one of the coolest ideas for setting up a horror film, which is this idea of a place you can travel in your dreams, people who can lucid dream, and then you go into a place further into the supernatural that they call the Further, and like how dangerous that place is. And it's the place that's on the other side of the red door. That's how you get to the Further.
What I remember about, I've only seen the first one, but I still remember it like over a decade now, is like that movie being so low budget, but it being able to like capture like the tense and being in another world where it's just like the same house, but there's like fog and the lighting's different and the camera feels different. It's like, man, this movie, I need to rewatch those.
Yeah, and it has a truly incredible horror score, and then the second one doing a great job of like following up on the premise of the first, because like you kind of expect the second one would just leave the first as the cliffhanger ending that it is, but the second one like directly tackles that, like throughout the whole movie the dad is possessed. So like I really, really enjoy those first 2 films, and the fact that the story here is so clearly coming completely back into focus on that family and about like, I think that's a truly awesome idea, and you don't see this a lot with horror franchises, especially not executed in this way, where like the dad and son both have this horrible history, and clearly for like reasons that totally make sense, they have tried to like kind of brush it away and leave it in the past for Dalton, their son. But he's grown up, and those things are coming back around. That trauma is coming back around, and that makes perfect sense. It makes sense that they want to go back and tackle this, especially as a father and son thing. I think this is an awesome idea.
Yeah,
I really, really like it.
It's directed by Patrick Wilson.
Yeah,
which is really cool. Definitely got a lot of. This was like good trailer, and it's got a lot of style to it. So I'm like, oh yeah, Patrick, get that camera.
It's literally like 10 years later, kid. After all your trauma, can you go back and face your demon? Literally.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty into that. I would not be opposed to an Insidious 1, 2, and this rewatch.
Just the good ones. Just the first 2.
Yeah.
Ooh, let's get Ben to do it.
I wouldn't hate it. Like Insidious, I remember the first time I saw it in theaters, and like I was ready to go into a lackluster horror film, and I was stunned just from the opening. Like the opening credits gave me chills. I was like, oh, this movie's actually pretty spooky.
I remember like the poster for Insidious is in.
Yeah.
Is in. Who is he in? The kid?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ty Simpkins returns. That's cool.
Yeah.
I saw him in The Whale last year. Yeah, so good for him. And, you know, since he was the Insidious kid.
Yeah, and I think that's really cool. It's like Ryan said before, like it's the kind of story you can only do with time, and I think it's cool to put him and Patrick Wilson back up against this.
Yeah. Sweet Tooth season 2.
Y'all, I love Sweet Tooth.
I gotta finish that first season.
I'm so excited for the second season. I'm so curious how hard they're gonna go on the stuff from the comics. I remain curious if they're gonna commit all the way to the complete like revelation of stuff. Or if they're going to interpret it differently. I also am very curious because like there's a lot of imagery here that makes me think that they're going for the whole story here.
Yeah.
And not trying to stretch this into another season.
Just in case they don't get another one.
There's some imagery here that I'm like, this is definitely like some late game stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
This definitely...
Could this conceivably be, from what you're seeing in the trailer, the final season?
It's possible. There's definitely some stuff where like, to be fair, and you kind of have an idea of this from the trailer. There's some stuff with the mom that kind of plays with time, like as far as like when is a flashback and when is it something that they're learning about her. So like our characters learning it, or just we as the audience learning it, would kind of change my answer on if we are looking at the end game or not. If our characters are learning it, we're in the end game.
Okay. Ryan, what do you think about this?
I haven't finished that first season, but I think it looks great. It definitely was like, oh, I do need to finish that because this looks really, really good. That little kid from Cocaine Bear, I swear.
He's great. I really like the show. I'm excited for the second season. I missed the drop of the first trailer, and I haven't really seen a lot of marketing, and it's coming out on Thursday.
Oh my god, yeah, I saw that. I'm like, there's no way I'm catching up. No way, bro.
Yeah. I hope that it continues to pull in an audience, because like if they are going for a third season, I really hope they get it, because I do want them to just tell the story to the end. But if this is it, then like I hope it goes out good.
Too. American-born Chinese.
Yeah, this looks cool.
I think it looks okay.
I like Monkey the Monkey King legend stuff. So a different adaptation of this. I've heard some people say that like they think the comic, just from looks of this trailer, is better. I'll have to look at that comic. But I like this cast. I think there could be something fun here. I don't think it's a particularly well cut trailer, I'll say that.
I think my problem is I think this is a really, really generic trailer. And the way it's cut, it's just like Michelle Yeoh shows up, oh, you gotta save the world. And it's just like, it feels like nothing that I haven't ever seen before. And like, yeah, the cat, like, it's cool that the Everything Everywhere cast is in there, but like Michelle Yeoh is probably the only one who's actually in the show for a long period of time. Which again is not a big thing or a little, like that doesn't sway my opinion on the show or anything.
I agree with you that I don't think it's a very well cut together trailer, but I do think that the main two boys seem cool.
Yeah.
And I like the attack on, again, not being familiar with the comic, I like the attack on like your main character is the guy who's assisting the hero instead of the hero.
Yeah.
Like the typical hero.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool.
Yeah, I agree with that. That is an interesting.
And like the fact that it's like also from this angle of like, because he's from China and he's an American born Chinese, as in the title.
Yeah.
Like reconnecting with things about his own family's heritage and history.
I hope for the best.
I know Disney Plus really wants this to be a hit. And it's the director from Shang-Chi, so like, yeah, hoping.
Yeah, they know that they have 2 Oscar winners and an Oscar-nominated actress. They really want this to succeed. I really hope this is good. I wasn't crazy about this trailer, but I'm excited about this for a while because I like the cast and I like the premise. So I'm really hoping they pull out something really cool here. Fast X.
X gonna give it to you. I'm just here, man. I love movies. I see Vin Diesel driving down a dam with explosions behind him. I'm like, they already went to space. This is cool. I love it.
There's one part of this trailer that has me really like, all right, what are we doing here? Which is where it looks like, and I won't say she is, Charlize Theron's talking to Dom and says the devil is coming. And that could be like trailer trickery. She might not be talking to Dom in that moment.
I 100% think it is.
But I am curious who just regardless, who she means the devil is, because I don't believe it's Jason Momoa.
It's the villain for the 11th movie.
Right, that's what I would assume. And like, I'm a little surprised that at this point we're going for, but I guess I should have figured from like her being trapped in a room with Michelle Rodriguez that there's someone else.
Yeah.
But like, I'm a little surprised that we're going for her not being the biggest big bad.
I mean, I kind of...
And top of the food chain. Because I kind of liked her over the past like 3 films before this being the person.
Yeah, but I do think at this point, like, there does somebody have to be above her. Like, there is somebody even she's afraid of.
Sure.
You know, it is the end. We are approaching the end game. This is Infinity War. This technically, this is, you know, the scale of that movie.
When she was first told to us, when they first told us about Cypher, and they were doing like interviews and things like that, and they were saying who she was meant to be, the impression that we always got, and they even said, this is the main bad guy for the final arc of Fast and the Furious. And it feels like, because 9 really sidelines her and captures her and puts her in like this glass case and whatnot. And it kind of feels like it was at that point in the story that they decided there was going to be someone else. So I never quite, I think I just never quite got over the fact that I wanted to see her be that big villain for the past last 4 movies, but
Sure.
it's fine.
I get it, and it is cool to have like your Thanos level villain. For me, she's in the movies enough. She's been a villain enough. Like I at this point, if we're doing 10 and 11, and she is still the one thing, I'm like, how much more can she really? After she's been beat so many times, how much more can she really give to me?
Would you like it if it's subterfuge, and so she says, the devil is coming, and she makes it seem like Jason Momoa is the biggest of the big bads, but it's really her putting them all off guard, and so like she for whatever her plan is, but like she's throwing them off in order to get the upper hand on them for the 11th film and like really put them on their back foot.
I have no idea. I don't know. I think it's trailer trickery, and it's just, it might be. It could be she's talking about.
I'm not asking what you think it is. I'm asking, would you be for that or against it?
Sure, I'm
Okay.
for it. I guess. I think she's just talking about the 11th villain, probably. This is the most generic thing I can think of, probably.
I really like Momoa in the beginning of this trailer. He's really what sells me on this film right now.
Dorks. He calls them dorks.
Yeah, seeing him be this kind of, someone described him as like, chaotic, like Joker-esque, and I like the idea of watching like a chaotic Momoa villain.
Yeah. Because like all of our villains,
Basically like Slumberland, but
evil. Yeah. Like all of our villains have like, they have like schemes and like either whether it's world domination or like, but they have plans, and I feel like maybe he's just like, you ruined my life and I just want to ruin your life. That's all it is. It is like the Joker, and I'm totally here for that. And then some bigger bad will use him, except for like in all whatever, I don't know.
Just looks like he's having a good time, which
Yeah.
sells me.
Yeah, it is. I love, again, like I'm fine with the progression of time and how everything happens and characters growing and stuff. I love that Jacob, Dom's brother, is already in uncle mode with his nephew. I really think that's cute. I can't wait to see their interactions. Yeah, this is the 10th Fast and Furious movie, so I'm gonna go to the movies and have a good time.
Second time Brian Toretto has been kidnapped.
Hey man, someone's got to get kidnapped.
And this time he'll be saved because the first time he was saved by Jason Statham, who was a villain turned hero.
It's true.
Now he'll be saved by John Cena, who is now a villain turned hero.
Absolutely. Hey, at least
Poetry, it rhymes.
Charlize, it is George Lucas. At least Charlize Theron's, I don't think she will become a good guy. I think we're safe from that trifecta.
So that last movie ends with she's having a Corona with everyone.
All right, I'll accept a lot of things. That might be pushing a line.
right.
All right, The Flash.
Flash.
I swear to God. Swear to me.
I did a Batman thing.
Sorry.
Listen, y'all. Every time we talk about anything Flash related, I as a person have to say, hey, Ezra Miller sucks. I don't like that. Like, we're just pushing everything under the rug. Like, that dude should be in jail.
I saw like someone giving the take from CinemaCon, because there's been a lot of positive
Yes.
reviews, a lot of
yeah.
praise for this film, and someone said, I know Ezra Miller's made a lot of mistakes, and then I looked for the comment that wasn't far down
Yep.
of someone saying basically like, sure, let's call assault and
Kidnapping.
and oh god, I forgot the term, but
Started a cult.
yeah,
Lots of bad things.
like yeah.
I have to get that out of the way because just like that first trailer, I thought that was really great.
Grooming a young girl.
Yeah.
There we go.
I thought that first trailer was great, and I also think this trailer is great. I think it looks like incredible blockbuster cinema. Yeah, some of the CGI looks bad, but you know what? This is a man running faster than the speed of light. Like that's something I can get over. Like this is a part where the CGI doesn't bother me. I think like the shots and the way that the superpowers are being used, like even Batman himself, I just think it looks incredible.
Sure.
Like visually, like I'm really, really, really impressed. And like this trailer had a tone to it that the first one didn't have. Like the first one was much more like big bombastic. This one like had the bombast in the scenes, but the music, it was like kind of melancholy. And the entire trailer's tone was like Batman was kind of sad and Barry is like sad. And it's a lot of sad. I'm like, I really vibed with it. I think I love both these Batmans. I think they both look cool. Like and I honestly, the Flash logo at the end that flashes through all of the logos, like, hey, this is the entire DC universe. Like I like that. Like I'm here for it. Consumer capitalism is hard. Being ethical in consumer capitalism is hard. But like, this looks like a good movie, man.
I'm still not quite sold on it. I'm not like you. I'm not vibing with it. I for some reason am not.
Sure.
Still. There's a line that Michael Keaton says, where he's like, he does the "you want to get nuts, let's get nuts" bit, and I was like, I'm tired. And then, but then, the shot that follows it was like the coolest thing I ever saw, which is the three of them kind of like sliding into frame as the bat plane goes over them. I was like, that.
And
you really did something that I didn't like, and then immediately followed up with something awesome.
Yeah, and the CGI in that shot, like when they're all like, it doesn't look particularly great, but you know what? I will get over that when you give me something really cool. Like, you're trying, and like, trailers CGI is often never done in these situations, and like, I'm just like, CGI thing is not a problem. I think visually this movie looks incredible, man. Like, we have never seen the Flash look like this, even in the movies that the Flash has been in. I'm just like, and all the early buzz is like, it is this good. It is really good. Even the worst people are saying, guys, it's a good movie. So like
everyone keeps saying it's the greatest superhero movie ever.
I that is a personal opinion, but like, it being one of the greatest DC movies ever made, I can believe that. Like, they're saying like, yo man, this made me feel something that a lot of other superheroes movies don't. I'm like, I'm ready to feel that. I would love to feel that.
For this last time that Zaslav said it, because he said this is the greatest superhero film I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It was Tom. We heard it from Tom Cruise, who called up James Gunn. Was like, I want to see this movie, and he was like, it's amazing, man. It's gonna save movies.
Yeah. Well, Tom Cruise will save movies. That's true. He's not. He is not wrong there. All right, Sparks. Shit all over it.
I'm not gonna shit all over it. I think that there's a lot to like in this. Like, Ezra Miller aside, I'd probably be much more pumped.
Yeah.
Like, I'm decently pumped about it, just because it looks like there's a lot to engage with visually. I'm still. I'm not blaming the trailers for this, and I feel like we've kind of at this point now have gotten everything we're gonna get of like, what is this movie about, and I feel like there's still like some other shoe I'm waiting to.
There's the villain that hasn't been revealed
yet. And I think my concern about not seeing them in the trailer is that I'm worried about them like third act not leaving much of an impression if they're hidden from too much of the movie.
Sure.
And that's one of my things, but like outside of that, I thought it a little bit the first trailer, but I definitely thought it more now, where I'm like, some of these shots, specifically I guess of Keaton's Batman in this like battle with Zod scene, I'm like, some of these look like Alex Ross paintings in motion, and that's pretty cool, man.
Oh my god, that is actually very apt. Yeah. There's one shot specifically of Batfleck where he does like a whoosh with his cape, and I'm like, shit, man, that looks really cool.
Yeah.
I think both Batmans look awesome in this. Sasha Callie, Supergirl, I think she looks awesome. I still don't love the Flash outfits, but that's just something I'll just I'll get over it.
I don't love that she doesn't have red boots.
Yeah, I honestly didn't even notice it. But like, I think the action looks insane. Like, I think it just looks really, really cool. And like, the emotion, the thing that the people were talking about most about the CinemaCon thing was like, not just that it's impressive, that it is a really emotional movie, and a lot of people are crying. And like, the Barry mom stuff really, really works. And like, again, that is the focal point of Flashpoint. Like, if the emotional part doesn't work, then all of this bombast won't really matter.
Right.
If I don't care about the characters. And like, that is the thing that is working for this movie, is the characters. And that is the thing the only thing I could ask for. Is like, I care about these guys. You can do anything with them.
Yeah.
I think that the thing that I'm still not vibing with, maybe because I don't really have nostalgia for Keaton as Batman. Don't get me wrong, I like him. I never really considered him my Batman. So maybe that's it. But I will, that aside, I think visually this movie looks really great. One of the things I really love about the DC films, good or bad, is that they all have a distinct visual language to themselves, and I really appreciate that those films do that, and this one looks no different. In fact, the visual language of the film is really something. As Spark said, a lot of these look like Alex Ross paintings. Like, that's really cool.
To Mag's point that he's saying in the comments, it will be the end of the beginning of the new DCU era, so we'll see how that lands.
And again, going back to Man of Steel,
farewell and welcome.
Yeah, going back to the first of these movies is actually a really cool idea. Now that we're here, we heard the rumors for so long. They're like, Zod's in this movie? Why? Like, what does it make sense? Like, I see the vision. I see what we're doing. I get it. By all accounts, like, the worst thing this will be is a good movie, and that's just really exciting. That like, by all accounts, this is a really, really awesome movie, and I'm just I'm glad. Like, I do hope this is the only Flash movie with Ezra Miller. I don't care how good the movie is. Like that, the dude needs to work on himself a little bit before you give him millions of more dollars.
Themselves.
Thank you. Thank you.
Them. Sorry.
Yeah.
They everything that happened with them happened after they filmed this movie.
Yeah, it's true. And I guess with enough time, with enough time, like, yeah, I guess for me personally, I just need time. I just like when you do something bad as a person, like you need time to evaluate, to reflect, to grow. Like it doesn't happen overnight. So like maybe in 2 years I'll feel a little bit better about it. But like,
sure.
But right now I'm like, it still bums me out that he's leading this movie. But man, but if asterisk, man, it looks good.
All right. Well, that's all of the news. So why don't we go into our bread and butter? Nope, our main topic.
Yo, bread and butter. I got it right here. Oh, I can't because we're already on the bread and butter. Let's go to the main topic.
Cool. Look at that. We're here.
We're here.
Mommy's with the maggots.
Mommy's
because
with the maggots now.
We are talking about Evil Dead Rise, the 5th entry in the Evil Dead franchise, directed and written by Lee Cronin. Full spoilers, guys. You know the drill at this point, but hey, full spoilers. We're gonna spoil every little bit about this movie. So if you've not seen it yet, or again, hightail it to your nearest theater. Pause this, skip over, whatever you can do to not spoil this movie, or do. It's really your life. I don't really care.
Sure.
Full spoilers. You have been warned. What do we think about this movie, Ben? Oh shit.
Oh,
it was mid. So before I give a review, I just want to say that this movie was originally a streaming-only movie, and the budget for this movie is around $15-20 million. It's already made like triple that at the box office because it was low budget, and it's awesome, and people are responding to it. So like, yo, man, put movies out in theaters. People will see it if it's good.
I didn't put this in the news. Actually, I forgot. But David Zaslav said that that Warner Brothers is no longer interested in making streaming movies.
Yeah, that's
interesting.
It's dumb. Like smaller movies, like smaller streaming movies should be allowed to exist. Like you don't have to make Evil Dead a streaming movie, but smaller movies should be allowed to exist too. Like Disney Plus is doing it. Why can't you do it? Anyway, Evil Dead Rise, y'all. I love it. I love it. I love it. I have basically no complaints. But I love it. That's my review. Let's end the show. I'm just kidding. It's so crazy that we're in the age of legacy sequels, remakes, reboots. But we're particularly like blessed because we're getting Scream, we're getting Evil Dead, we're getting all of these legacy. We're getting so many things, and they're good. Evil Dead might be the best horror franchise because there is not a single bad one. There's not even a single good one. There's only great Evil Dead movies. It's a great time to be a horror fan. I'm so happy I got to see this in the theater. It was a smaller theater, but the guy behind me was making a lot of funny noises, so I was happy.
Sparks?
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I had a great time. Very happy. Yeah.
Big spoilers, Mag. Absolutely.
Mag
Hell
bringing
yeah.
up that surprise that kids can now die in this universe. Yes, absolutely. That was a big part of it.
Big stakes.
No, I really enjoyed this. I thought they did a really great job. Just a really great job all around with all of it.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
So I didn't know you were done. You weren't done. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, I really loved it. I loved all the Evil Dead films. So there's no surprise here. I think it's really fun. Fun's not really the right word. Fun in its own way.
It's fun. It's fun if you like it.
Yeah. I'm very happy with it. I can't wait to go through it. So, do we want to read what Ben wrote now?
Let's just do it at the end.
Okay, we'll do it.
Because he gives a rating and everything, so let's just do it all together at the end.
So let's get into it. Where do we want to start?
We start at the beginning and the end.
Oh yeah,
the cabin.
Yeah. Because what an interesting way to start and end your movie with a completely different story.
I was actually really pleased with that, considering like how much that footage was featured in the trailers, and I was constantly trying to figure out like how is this connected to the thing, and I like that at the beginning of the movie. It's like, really don't worry about it.
I 100% thought that like our main girl, she's the one who got her scalp ripped because she has long black hair, so I'm like, I kind of know what happens to all these characters, and like, no, you don't.
I didn't. No, you don't. Right? Yeah, I didn't think that. when did you think that? Like when we first started, you thought that she was that she was going to be our main girl, like before she got her scalp ripped, and
Oh,
we were
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
go back with her and everything.
Yeah.
Right. I get that. I was kind of wondering if that was the case. Like I was like, but I thought those were different people from all the trailers and everything.
And I give
but
that,
then,
you know.
but then, yeah, you get into the film, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, just don't even worry about the cabin. Don't even worry about the lake. Don't even think like, it's just the opener, and it's happening later, and
One
you'll
day
find out how.
earlier.
Yeah.
I was blown away when we did those when we cut to our main girl. I was like, it was like couple months, and it was like one day earlier. I was like, oh shit, shit's about to get really messed up.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a good way to like really throw you off, and especially for a horror movie to just be kind of like basically putting your like end credits at your beginning.
Yeah.
And just being like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm disoriented already.
I really love the callback to her being able to read the text as the girl is reading it in her mind, and she's like narrating what she's reading.
Sure.
I love how that's shot where we're getting each word almost in this big like bubble letters. I really liked the opening. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, once the movie started and I saw what was happening, I'm like, okay, so like, is this the actual movie? And like, I was so confused because like it lasted longer than I thought, that opening with those characters. And I'm like, then once the scalp rips, I'm like, okay, no, I get it. Okay, all right, this is a prelude. I thought it was gonna be more connected. I thought it was gonna be, you know, like somebody finds something there and brings it home, but it's the reverse of that. They bring the dead to the cabin.
It's really smart, because like horror movies usually need and are usually correct to have like that punchy opener, something that like kicks the action off before you settle in with some characters. So that's usually where you get some fodder that dies.
Yeah,
but like there's no logical way for our family that we follow in this film to have that happen before, like with the story they're telling us.
Yeah.
So there's no way for those things to connect. So it's actually really smart to like just take what would be the like walk out of the theater moment. Oh, move that to the beginning.
Yeah. An interview with the director, this Lee Cronin dude, he is such a cool dude. This Irish like independent filmmaker. He's made a bunch of short films. He did a movie called A Hole in the Ground a couple years ago. It's Sundance and won a bunch of awards. He's now doing Evil Dead. This low budget ass movie looks so good. This is such a sharp looking movie. For the video people, the background of the girl rising from the water and the Evil Dead rising up is legitimately like one of my favorite title cards I've ever seen. And the music rising and it just cuts away. Then it's just a completely new scene, and I'm like, cool. Just cool. If we don't come back to this, I'll be okay, because I know it'll everything will make sense. Real quick, on the interview front, he mentioned that there's like 4 or 5 different versions of a sequel that he's already like he has in his brain. One of them is like, yeah, I want to do the cabin thing because like, what happens after that cabin? What happens to the Airbnb people who show up there 2 days later? Like, there are so many ideas for sequels, and like, it's just like the Evil Dead is out in the world now. And that is what I wanted this movie to be. The Evil Dead is in the world, as opposed to just a singular location. And that's really scary.
Yeah. So much. I really think this is incredibly inventive. I had this moment in the movie when I was thinking to myself, I was like, you know, because of the remake and the things like that, it'd be interesting to know how this Necronomicon connects to all of them. And then like, not long after I was thinking about this, they're like, this is one of 3 of the Necronomicon. I was like, you did it. You did it.
Because like each movie has like its own version or whatever. I love that this one we get like a whole ass story about about a priest. And like the story there is that like, because Lee Cronin said in an interview, is like one of the sequel ideas is actually the prequel about that one priest and how he had to kill 100 of his fellow priests in like a cathedral. And I'm like,
the shit out of that.
That sounds insane.
Right.
Bruce Campbell was one of the voices in that tape too.
That's awesome.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because what's incredible is that Lee Cronin himself is like, is that Ash? It could be Ash. And I'm like, I'd watch that.
Yeah. I love. I guess I love the listening of the tapes. I love the modern version of it. I love the zoom in of the speakers going Kondak. Like, it's just so spooky. I just love this movie. Everything I'm gonna say is just I love it.
I really like how they use the Necronomicon, since we're kind of like focusing on the Necronomicon, how it flips to the page of whatever demon we're about to meet. Like when the mom is getting possessed, it flips to this page, and then when the daughter gets possessed, it flips to a different page, and then when they're morphing, it flips to the other page.
Right.
I think that's a really cool device they used.
Absolutely.
Much to Mag's point, still happy they have Raimi's camera styles of the angles and close-up shots of the camera shaking. Yes, absolutely. One of my favorite things was the opening of the film that was the drone and the fake out of like what you anticipate to be the evil moving, and it was a drone camera.
Oh, it's so
I thought
good.
that was very smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do a great job. They do a great job of a lot of the close-ups and tilting and how they do everything that they do to still give it the vibe of like, you know what this is, this is the Deadites, this is Evil Dead.
The mom spends a portion of the movie outside, and there's the eye hole camera view that we spend a lot of time in. That is such a scary viewpoint, because it's not just the mom being really creepy. You see all the people in the apartments just like getting murdered on the sides and running away, and you just hear the carnage. You don't see the carnage.
Oh,
God, seeing in horror movie, like hearing it and not seeing it is so. It's the Jaws, baby. It's so good.
I really like how this movie sets up and pays off. Basically everything it sets up in the first act is paid off in the third act.
The scissors.
The scissors, the wood chipper, the
Stephanie.
Stephanie.
A weird little girl.
I really I found that really effective, and it's a simple narrative tool, but it pays off in really interesting ways and really big ways when you're doing a horror movie. I'm really appreciative exists.
I think especially because like I don't think any of them felt obvious.
No.
Like you were like, this is the moment when we use the scissors. This is the moment where she uses Stephanie.
Yeah.
Like you weren't anticipating it until like seconds before it happens.
The scissors one specifically, it's like, that's a good Chekhov scissor, because I completely forgot she threw those scissors away. I completely forgot. Love it.
And the even the bathtub water, like there's a lot of like setup and payoff that really effectively works in the movie. The point that I wanted to make though about that is lost now.
Lost, created by David Lindelof and J.J. Abrams. Music by Michael Giacchino.
The peephole moments are really great, especially when she's terrorizing the hallway residents, and I really love that moment, as obviously these characters were introduced as cannon fodder, and I knew it immediately. But I didn't expect, you never expect children to die, and what I think is such an effective scare is when the one guy loses his eye, it chokes the one kid to death, and then in the people you see the one kid run away and they get thrown back into the wall with no arms, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, that eyeball sequence is like straight out of From Hell. Like there's like in various other horror movies, but like a Sam Raimi movie where the evil witch like spits an eye out and it lands in her mouth. I love that. Man, this movie is so violent and it's so gory and it looks so good and there's so much blood. That blood elevator, watching a bunch of interviews with those actors, they hated it. It was so sticky. It was all old because they had to import that blood because they were in New Zealand or something filming the movie, and like they had to use old blood so it smelled bad, and they were just covered in it for weeks. And like they hated doing it, but it looks really good, and that's what's important.
I love the always effective for me.
Good Shining reference, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think much to your point, Brandon, of what you were bringing up, that the moment all the neighbors are there, I'm like, yeah, these are all the people that die. But I did think that they're all the people that die throughout the film so that we don't kill the kids.
Yes.
Like killing the kids, like taking the two older kids out, I was like, oh God, I just didn't think this is where we were going. So like when we cut back to Bridget and she's up on the counter and everything, and I'm like, oh, she's gone. No way.
She's got to eat
like
that
before
glass.
that, I thought she was gonna like get the evil out of her somehow.
Yes.
But like, nah,
because
she's done.
Because we definitely see in the trailer that she's dead-eyed. So I also assumed she was gonna get saved. No, she gets burned on fire.
And yeah, you get this impression like, oh well, maybe she has to save the kids in order, but she can't save the mom, and that's how this ends. But And even up until till they all morphed, I was like, oh, they can still save the kids, yeah. But then they all morphed, and I was like, oh no, they all die.
Yeah. Yeah. Once Danny starts getting like stabbed, I'm like, oh, that's murder.
Right.
Oh no, nobody is safe in this movie.
What great imagery too! Like the you just see the two kids walking in the hallway, and then the kid under the sheet just hobbles.
Oh
in.
my god.
Terrifying.
The first one's a little more subtle than the second one. But like, man, that is some good. It's also really funny. Man, this movie's also like, it's not Evil Dead 2 funny, but like it is just like Evil Dead. Like it's got comedy chops to it. There's certainly like really funny scenes.
Yeah.
Like great physical comedy horror stuff happening. The monster, the big family monster, it's called the Marauder, by the way. The Marauder. That's a
woman who plays the mom, who also the main Deadite,
Elisa Sutherland.
Oh yeah,
Lisa Sutherland, thank you, is incredible as this Deadite. Probably my favorite Deadite performance.
Yeah.
Of the limited what we've had.
Yeah.
But I adored this Deadite. We spent so much time with her too.
Yeah.
She's a much more prevalent threat than we've seen before. The exception only being maybe Ash's sister in the first film.
Mm-hmm.
And I really thought she was super effective. And there's one moment in the people, again, the people stuff is all great. I have nothing but great things to say about anything in the people. But the daughter, the little girl, looks through the peephole and doesn't say anything, and then the Deadite gets like floats up. It's like, oh, there you are.
Right.
I just got chills.
I love Deadites. Like they are pure just chaos. Like I love that. Like
so nasty.
They're just so nasty, and they will do anything. They will say anything to get your soul.
And they have such a good time.
Yeah.
Doing everything they do.
Yeah. And the worst thing is like they have all the memories and all the love that they experience like with that other person, so like they can use that against you. And like, oh, it's nothing, a big kiss from mom.
There's something about it that feels just so much more sinister than your typical like possession in other films.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think they bring that across really well here. It feels very like nasty and mean and like chaotic and like they are reveling in it.
Yeah.
As they do it. I really find it effective. I will say, like, just because we're talking about Alyssa Sutherland's performance as Ellie, I really like. She gets a moment that most don't in Evil Dead stuff, which is that she has like the glimmer of her last like moment to her sister, where she says, "It's in me. Don't let it take my babies."
Yeah,
and then she effectively dies.
Yeah,
and I thought that was really cool. That she got to have that last breath, and then everything after that is like the thing just being blatantly like, yeah, your mom's gone.
I love, and it's not like a big deal, I think, to most folk, but like this is a movie where our two leads are like cool, young, alternative women.
Right.
And the main Deadite, she is a mother who's covered in tattoos, you know, wearing booty shorts. Like she's a cool young mom.
Right.
And that's just a really cool thing to see. Like I know it's a silly thing, but like tattoo representation is not a real thing I care about. But just seeing regular people have tattoos, and like people have tattoos, like they being in movies, that is just a cool thing to see. And having what is the sister's name, the hero sister's name?
Her character name is Beth. She's
Beth.
Lily Sullivan.
Lily Sullivan. These are both Australian actresses. They're both fantastic. She being like this punk rock girl, like maybe becoming a mother, goes to go see her sister who's a mother, and then experiences all this stuff which turns her into a mother. I think all that, like, again, this is a tight movie. You know, it's short. It's less than 2 hours. Like for an Evil Dead movie, like this has more story than I ever needed.
Right.
And like the same thing with Evil Dead 2013. Like that's a movie about like a bunch of characters like coming together, like they're friends. Like the first Evil Dead, like I think those characters are fine. It's honestly not why I watched that first movie.
Right.
But like this new one, like I care about these characters, and I'm only with Elle for 10 minutes before she turns evil. Mm-hmm. But like that's all I needed to see. Like, yo, she's cool. She's a great mom. She's funny. She cares about her sister. That's all I needed.
One of the things I said in the beginning of the review is that I was really shocked when it did the one day earlier kind of flashback and sets up the movie, because I was concerned. I was like, oh, we're probably not really concerned. I didn't really expect to get time with these characters before they become dead. I was like, not really. And like, oh, we're not going to get a lot of time with these characters before everything starts happening. But I think the stuff they've written is great and creates a much more meaningful connection. At least I felt to me and the mom, at least to Sutherland. Every character, quite frankly, when they get turned, I am upset because I think they're all well written characters that I really wanted to see make it to the end of this movie.
Yeah, for sure. They're very good at being like, they feel like real people. They feel like they're speaking to the times and being representative. I think that part of it is that like you get enough flavor from all of the characters to understand who they are and how their personality is and how the family unit feels functionally real and tangible in a way. And it much to Mag's point, like we've never had an Evil Dead franchise take out children, let alone a family. Like and so it's a whole different kind of spin on what's going on. Like this is essentially your conventional like possession story is like a family in a home kind of getting attacked and hit with the demonic possession, but like it goes so much further south than it usually would in those stories. I think like one of my only kind of like minor knocks against it is like I feel like I get just a tad little less time with them as a family unit with the mom aside than I wish I did. Particularly I guess with Bridget. I think Bridget just gets out of the picture a little early. I wish she'd stuck around just a little longer as herself.
Sure. Yeah.
I feel like we could have used the neighbors to buffer a little bit of that room, just a smidge.
Sure.
But that's more just a desire of wanting to engage with the characters more than it is any like particular detriment of the film.
I doubt they're gonna tear down or close the building after what happened. Man, if you find a bunch of dead people in a building, like I think I would demolish it. I don't know.
They were demolishing it anyway.
They were demolishing it anyway. Yeah, it was.
Well, it's going down in a.
Yeah, the same what he's saying. Yeah. It's funny that like one of the biggest evils of all time was like living under like a bank vault in California. It's just really funny.
Yeah,
I love it.
The vault bit is a little schlocky, but I'm like, whatever. It's fine. I do think Danny gets to be down there for an exceptionally weird amount of time without the sisters like coming to be like, "Yo, Danny," or like come down there themselves.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
Oh, you know what's so interesting is I never felt this in an Evil Dead movie before because I know the rules of Evil Dead. Nothing weird happens until someone reads from the book. But the vault scene was actually really tense for me. Like everything post earthquake was kind of on the edge of my seat. Like, oh my goodness, are there Deadites already out there? Like I started to get worried that I wasn't prepared for the spookiness to happen.
It does feel like they're trying to say, and I think it maybe could have been conveyed better if they were trying to say this, that the book is calling out to Danny.
Yes.
And like if that is the case, I kind of wish we got some kind of whisper. Something borderline on the level of the Jumanji drums calling to like something to tell the audience he is directly being called to, because otherwise it other than like the crack leading to the vault being open and everything, it is like Danny just happens to grab the right box to open up the notes from the priest.
It wasn't calling
and all
him.
that kind of stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, we could have had just a little teeny tiny like
little push. Yeah.
Push of this is why I'll look in this particular box and nowhere else, because he's like looking for something valuable.
Some great comedy moments that I'll remember after Elle dies and she's laying in bed and they go to close her eyes, they just pop right back open, and that made me giggle. That happens a couple times. I think that's really funny.
Yeah.
There's a scene, I don't remember where it happens, but like either she hits the Deadite or something happens, then the Deadite looks at her, and then she just like crashes through a wall or something. That's just a good physical comedy.
That was when she gets in. The Deadite gets into the building when she's listening to on her headphones, and you can see her like creepy crawly down the wall.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
And then the reflection. Yeah, you're right. Like she first hits the Deadite, and then the next cut is she's blown through the doors.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, she looks so gnarly and good in her makeup. I love when she puts her finger on the record player and unhinges her jaw. Essentially, and just like lets it blast out of her.
Love it.
Like Ryan said, just like the shots on how they handle the sound permeating over them is really great.
And again, I love that this movie, like, they didn't feel the need to make this, $100 million giant demonic movie, because that doesn't make sense. Like, but at the same time, like, this is a low budget movie, but it expands the world for me indefinitely in big ways. Where, like, we know multiple books exist. Who's writing these books? Why are these priests continuing to read these books? Why do we keep doing this to ourselves decade after decade?
Because you brought that up, I just want to add real quickly that I think that the record players are, we've already talked about, I think the record player moment is really good, but I also really like using them as an exposition dump. Not just to read the book, but like we get a lot of exposition from that, and it all is really cool and interesting and kind of spooky. Like you're getting really tense as you're hearing he's not reading from the book yet, he's just talking about his day, and you feel really tense as it's booming over the loudspeaker over this family.
Yeah, for sure.
Mag brings up, we never knew but can tell that the cat didn't make it or not. Oh yeah, what's your cat take? You think the cat got eaten? I think the cat got eaten.
I think the cat's fine.
Yeah.
Go either way. Maybe it's Schrodinger's dead-eyed cat.
I'm just saying, if I for a second thought I was going to see a little dead-eyed kitty cat, and I was really excited. Just a little bit.
I definitely thought it was possible for a second that I'm like, man, is this movie going to be just like super bleak? And I thought we were going to lose Cassie too.
Oh, sure.
Once she got pulled back
near the
after
end,
they cleared the fence.
Yeah, same.
I thought like Cassie might be done, and I'm like, yo, are we like losing all the kids?
I had a similar thought when they're pushing the creature into the wood chipper, and they're getting and the blood is pouring on Cassie. And we had throughout like it was implied that the blood is what's doing it. Like you put Deadite blood in you and you become a Deadite. That's when the mom put the needle to her head and then put it in her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that when all that blood was going down on Cassie, I was like, oh no.
Oh, she's gonna turn or something. Sure, yeah.
Yeah, like that was gonna be the end.
The
Like she
finale.
was going to turn, and that was gonna be like the last like really bleak hammer to go home with.
The final shot would be Cassie like lunging at the camera towards Beth or something.
Like
sure,
that.
Sure, yeah. Man. Again, like I think this movie, I think it's really tight. Again, like I like that like it moves fast paced. We get to know the characters as much as we need to, and then it's just like carnage, and we kind of slow down and talk for a bit, and then it's just more carnage, and it's more carnage, and then we go downstairs, and it's just rain and blood. Chainsaws.
I really like the use of the elevator throughout the film of just like kind of sitting there, just dunk.
Oh God!
I
Yes.
think it's very effective in the way that they utilized it, and that it's like specifically from the key strap there. Also, I thought they did a really good job of like homaging the way the Deadites get at a person still being tied to this idea of like restraining them to get at them. This like the tree vines grabbing her is the wires in the elevator.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a good like little like visual nod
Motif.
without going completely to recreating the moment.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
There's a few. I think there's 3 times they say iconic lines from the movie, from the original movies. Dead by Dawn.
Yeah,
I'll swallow your soul.
that's a great moment. Like Dead by Dawn is so that whole bit has so much energy of like the cabin turning against Ash and Evil Dead 2. I thought they did a great job capturing that. With them all doing the Dead by Dawn.
Yeah, I think Brian's already said I'll swallow your soul, but yeah, I think the Dead by Dawn moment is really incredible, like spine-chillingly horrifying. I think they really picked the right moment to bring in that line. It was perfect.
Yeah.
The final chainsaw bit, it's obviously very grotesque and like murdering a bunch of people, but like the final scene where like he looks at like she looks at her sister for like the last time, then like drives a chainsaw in her face.
Right.
Like man,
As Mag said, come get some.
come get some.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll get some. Yeah, that one might have been the clunkiest. I still appreciated it.
I think it's fine. It didn't bother me. There was also like they didn't say it the same way, but the priest does talk about going to the woodshed, to get stuff he needs, and I thought like okay.
Shit.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
Just man, I'm just so thrilled. Again, like Scream 6. We had Scream 5, but Scream 6 this year. New Evil Dead movie. Like I could have been watching this on my TV at home, and I'm just so thrilled that I got to see it in theaters, and it's doing extremely well. I don't need like an Evil Dead movie every year, but like I will take an Evil Dead every couple of years. Like if you just want to give me another one of these every couple of years, there's no reason not to. Just do a Prey with Evil Dead. Just like just be creative with it.
Sure.
And with someone like Lee Cronin, like this dude is so talented, and if this is what he can do with like a low ass budget movie, I'm so excited for what this dude can do like in the future. I think he's mad talented.
The TV series didn't exist. I'd say that you can pair up the three protagonists.
Yeah.
Ash, Mia, and Beth.
Beth. Yeah.
Beth.
Yeah. And again, like
to fight a Deadite.
So here's the thing: you still could. Bruce Campbell said he doesn't want to play Ash again, which is fine. But you still technically can tie it into Ash if you want to believe a popular Evil Dead fan theory, which is that Mia and Beth's now stories exist in the world of Evil Dead 2 before Ash went back and then came back from Army of Darkness. So the world he left behind that didn't get changed by his events being through Army of Darkness.
We got timeline stuff now.
Oh, I don't know. I like the idea that he accidentally got himself trapped in the 20s for some reason.
I
mean, so it's a world where Ash was sucked into the void that isn't the one that comes into Army of Darkness and Ash vs. Evil Dead, all that stuff.
I get it. So that's just I don't know if I want that in my Evil Dead movies.
Yeah, just don't make it complicated. Just leave Ash out of it. Just bring back a.
Well, in that same way you would, right? Because like Ash got sucked through the void, and that's the end of his story in that world. Mm-hmm. And so then you have Mia and Beth
and Javi and Kelly
having their story that's now taking place in that world post a world where Ash was taken away.
Mm-hmm. What you're saying would be obviously Ash vs. the Evil Dead would be in the parallel timeline.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I just say it all exists in the one timeline. I'm good.
Yeah.
Ben's thoughts. I'm curious.
It was fun seeing with Ben. I didn't sit next to him, so I didn't get all the juicy jump scares or faces he was making, but he seemed to have a good time. Ooh, it's longer than I thought it'd be. Hell yeah.
From Ben, this movie made me uncomfortable, but it was a very well done horror film. High marks to the effects, makeup, and sound design teams where they knocked it out of the park. The story is simple, where you feel for the characters and want them to survive. Makes it extra heartbreaking when characters don't, and I love how the movie makes it clear that no one was truly safe from harm. The chainsaw and shotgun are good, subtle homages to the older films. Teaches the lesson to not open creepy stone slabs that were sealed away in a vault with a bunch of crosses over it.
It's true.
If I see this movie again, it's during the day with the lights on. My energy bill be damned. 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10? Hell yeah, Ben. Love it.
9 out of 10. Wow.
What was real quick when we saw it with him? He's like, yeah, it made me feel awful, and I'm like, yeah, that's what they
made me really uncomfortable.
That's what horror movies do. He's like, that's what it's always like. I'm like, yeah, that's what horror movies are, bro. Sorry.
Yeah.
He's gonna get to Army of Darkness and be like so tense and like, oh, thank God.
As the skeleton plays his flute.
Army of Darkness is going to be like this nice little treat in the midst of his franchise watching.
The scariest thing about that movie is how funny it is.
Yeah. Or that a skeleton can play a flute without any air actually passing from lungs.
It's magic.
I still watch the run for your lives.
Oh, I'm gonna die. Oh yeah.
All right. I agree. 9 out of 10 for me. I think this is great. I'm so happy to have another Evil Dead film and another good one at that. Mm-hmm. You keep knocking them out of the park. There's no bad Evil Dead movie. Yeah, that's. Otherwise, I'd just say how much I like it more. So, Sparks or Ryan?
I so desperately want because there will be another one of these. I so desperately want it to be the 1 versus 100 Priest versus Deadites movie. I think that just sounds incredible. I will give this a 9.5. I think it's awesome. I think it's a perfect Evil Dead movie. Like it is like, again, like what a beautiful franchise where like this is a different version of the same thing you love. It's just fantastic. Love it.
Yeah, I think that this movie has benefited from a tight script, very, very good filmmaking, knowing exactly what they're doing, and most importantly, incredible performances from actors that make these characters really pop off the screen and feel real. I think that like this movie kind of lives and dies ultimately on the cast, and the cast is very good. overstate that enough. I think like the entire family unit is really, really good. Like they all work so well together, and if you didn't care about all of them, I don't think it would be as effective. But like even Danny's not like a shit, even though it is like unintentionally his fault that all this happens. It's not like he's a shitty kid.
Oh my gosh, before you read it, when Bridget is like covered in the blanket and she vomits, and it's like, because it's through the blanket, it's like filtered, and it's just like goo, and I was like, man, that is, wow, I love it. Ew.
I need to eat the glass to get the creepy crawlies in my tummies.
Oh, man, I love this franchise. So unnerving.
One last thing I did want to praise. We knew the cheese grater moment was in it because of the trailer, and I anticipated something like really over the top gory. Like once they pulled the cheese grater away, like pieces were gonna come off of the like muscle was gonna be exposed, that kind of thing. And like I thought it was actually relatively very realistic to what a cheese grater would do with full force like that, and I was like, wow, that's actually pretty impressive. I'm glad that they kind of nailed that.
And it still sucks.
Yeah.
It wasn't unrealistic. It was, if anything, it was worse.
I really love Deadites. They're some of my favorite demonic entities in film. I think they're always so much fun. They're really what makes things so, really what makes Evil Dead so unique are the Deadites.
Obviously, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love that.
I'm glad they keep nailing it.
Yeah, I love that. Like, I'm sure the goal is to like take over the world or like merge the worlds of evil, but like they're just there to be shits. Like they don't have a goal. They're just like, I get to exist again, I'm gonna ruin your life. Like they're just evil, and that's fun. Like they don't have to have a goal. They're just here to mess with you, and that's awful.
It would be interesting to know what that world is when they actually succeed and they're like, oh,
what do we do now? We're bored.
Okay, shall we book club?
Can I rate it?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's a 9.
3 9s and a 9.5.
Where are we going?
Club.
Book club? I couldn't find a doodaloo in time for the soundboard.
I don't know why I did that, but I held my breath through that. It was a mistake. It's very stressful when I can't hear it. I don't know why.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Don't worry, we'll get that fixed.
Yeah. Okay, well, it's my turn. So I picked Star Wars Dawn of the Jedi Force Storm, obviously because of the upcoming film. This is written by John Ostrander with art by Jan Dursema?
Sure.
I think. Inks by Dan Parsons, colors by Wes Zioba, and lettering by Michael Erler. Yeah. If I pronounced that correctly, forgive me. I can't read my handwriting that small. So this is going back to way into the origins of the Jedi. This is very much the dawn of the Jedi, and I was kind of interested in it because James Mangold is doing a Dawn of the Jedi movie, and I wanted to kind of get a sense of what Dark Horse had done already because I knew this existed, and it's possible James Mangold will take some elements of this, but will most likely do his own thing. As much I prefer him to do that anyway. But I kind of wanted to get like a look at what this originally was.
An idea of flavor.
Yeah. So what do we think about this one?
I quite liked the first issue, and I quite liked the 5th issue. Coming to this era, 35,000 to 25,000 BBY before the Battle of Yavin. Pre-Legends, before Disney bought everything. I was really interested to come back here because like I wanted to see what the state of the world is, what the state of all these characters, like the Jedi, Sith, and all that. And like I really liked issues 1 and issue 5 because I think they give me something very different than what I'm used to. The thing with the pyramids kidnapping people, like it's basically what the Jedi are doing, but like that idea, that's very biblical of like these random force pyramids taking people to this planet to like train them to be like guardians, whatever. I'm really into that idea. Once we get into what the actual story is, I found it to be just kind of generic. I think a lot of the characters are cool, but they sound very samey. I think our main bad guy is pretty cool. He's probably my favorite character. Mm-hmm. But the thing that I wrestled with the most, I think the comic itself is fine. This is a personal problem. for this being like 25,000 years in the past, it's still so similar to what we know about Star Wars. And if you're going to go so far in the past, I don't want to still see it's Jedi versus an Empire, and we still have, like, the lightsaber thing is interesting because there's only one bad guy with a lightsaber. But I personally wanted to feel more alien because, like, the High Republic is 200 years in the past. I get that being very similar to our main stuff. 25,000 years, I still feel like we'd have the Jedis and the Empire, and, like, I was hoping it would be a little weirder. Because the middle part, it's just a story of, like, these people dealing with the sky in the middle of a storm. And I think it's cool. I was hoping it to be much bigger and weirder. But that's how I feel.
No, I think that's a fair assessment, because I think I'd echo a lot of what you've said already, which is just, like, once I got through the first issue and then we were getting into the second issue, I was like, oh, the first issue was, like, what I came here for, but I thought, like, we were going to actually tell the story, not just, like, tell summary of how we got to where we are.
Yes.
Like, I thought we were going to tell the story of these people being brought here and learning about connecting with the Force and all that it would literally be the dawn of the Jedi. But the Jedi already exist. The Jedi have existed for a while, and, like, the concepts of, like, they may be a little more rudimentary and early going, but they're still the same concepts of, like, what the light side and the dark side are. And I'm like, okay, this is not quite what I thought we meant with Dawn of the Jedi. And I agree, like, I did find the middle pieces very, very, like, generic and standard, and worse. They threw a lot of names at me, and I was just like, I don't know, I'm not keeping track of anybody. Like,
I think the
other than, like, your, like, absolute main characters, they'll be talking about, like, Master blah blah blah, who I haven't seen in, like, 2 issues.
Yeah.
And I'm like, gibberish to me, my friends.
I like the art. I think the art's awesome.
Yeah, I agree with what you guys are saying. The middle 3 issues are quite, I don't know, I was a little bored in the middle there. And I think what's difficult about Star Wars, that Star Wars does, and I think most people who write Star Wars do really well, is that they don't kind of throw a lot of gibberish names at you at so often. And this one really, I think, overstepped.
Oh yeah.
And made like a encyclopedia that I'm not interested in looking at.
Right.
The idea of Force Hounds, I think, is a cool idea. A Rancor dragon, that's cool, but again, Rancors look the exact same 25,000 years ago. Like, I wish we could have saw, like, I mean, it is with wings, but that's because of a science experiment, not because the Rancors evolved.
It does feel too close to, like, this is one of my worries, even with Mangold doing it. Like, I hope it's going to be something really, really unique and different, because, like, it does feel too much caught still in the trappings of Star Wars. Like, I want it to be, like, borderline, like, maybe we've only barely even begun to get to, like, traveling across the stars.
Yeah. The thing that got me the worst was the holograms. They're the exact same holograms 25,000 years ago.
Right.
You're telling me that it looks just as good and we haven't improved on that in 25,000 years?
Right. Like, it feels very limited in its scope of, like, what can Star Wars be given a large range of time further away. And I do think, like, the actual concept of what is the weight of 25,000 years, something like human beings haven't even done. Like, what is the weight of that amount of time?
Yeah. And go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that, like, you know, when you have all these characters, lost it, Brian. Go ahead.
I have one panel here that I just didn't like it. It's these 3 girls talking, and they're watching this guy named Seknos train. I like that. Seknos is the red guy with spikes on his face. That guy's a Sith. He's like the species Sith, which don't exist anymore, which is cool. So, like, being this far in time, like, seeing, like, species that don't exist anymore is kind of a cool thing.
Oh, that's one of the things I wish that they had
explained.
Well, yeah, because he's not called a Sith in the text of the book. He's called that in the 0 issue,
which the first issue just regurgitates all that info. So I wish I didn't read that issue 0, because it's the exact same thing.
Go ahead, Brian.
No, sorry, I just wanted to, like, I checked myself immediately in my brain right after I said it, and I said, like, human beings haven't been around for 25,000 years, which is not what I meant. What I meant in terms is, like, of culturally, like,
Yes.
like the way we formed our culture, because, like, humans have been around for, like, 300,000
I know what
years.
you meant, yeah.
I meant, like, in the way that we've built our structures, like, we are so fundamentally different from where human beings were 25,000 years ago with the way we've crafted society in that amount of time and all that kind of things. The idea that we can't expand that same idea to Star Wars and, like, really look backwards at, like, how far, like, would these things have progressed, because it wouldn't have moved minuscule amounts in 25,000 years.
That's why that first issue, I was like, oh, hell yeah. Like, weird pyramids, like, kidnapping people who have, like, they know have the Force. Like, all that idea is really cool. But then it just goes
But I thought that would be the story.
I thought it would be developing more of that instead of just, like, the base. This really got me. Seknos Wrath told me that no one has ever done this before. Seknos can experiment with me anytime. I'd like to experiment on Seknos. Keep watching, ladies. And there was a lot of that. And I'm like, John Ostrander, you created the Suicide Squad. What are you doing?
There's actually things I really like in this book that I hope continue into canon. For example, the concept that it is canon as of Clone Wars that the Sith planet was the homeworld of the species, the Sith, that the Order took over.
Korriban.
Korriban, thank you. That is canon as a Clone Wars, and I love that. I'm glad they kept that. One of the things I really hope they keep is the idea that the Jedi were not solely on the light. The purpose was always balance, and they talk about, anger is anger. Use anger, channel anger, but also don't, like, be consumed by it.
Yes.
Which is a far cry from where we see the Jedi at their fall.
Sure.
And I really appreciate that, and I want that kind of back in canon. The idea that, like, the reason why the Jedi kind of lost their way is because originally it wasn't about the light side or the dark side. It was just about finding the balance. And I really like that.
I agree with you about that element being in the book, and I think that's all well and good, and I like that idea, and I wish that was more core in the tenements of what they're saying these Jedi believe in. However, they also, at the same time, go, you flirted too much with the dark side. Go be banished to this planet. And I'm like, can you do both, guys? Like, just say, like, go to the planet where we send all the people who flirted too hard with the dark side. That's not going to mess up the balance. And find your balance again. And I'm like, there are more interesting ways to tackle this concept.
Well, even like the kids,
look at that.
Even like the kids talk about, wouldn't it make more sense to take him to the light side moon so that he can balance himself? And they're like, no, this is how we've done it. This is how we've always done it.
Right.
I do actually kind of disagree a little bit. Like I think that I like the concept that we're kind of seeing, where, like, the dark side is becoming to be a greater influence in people's lives. I just really think that, like, that story is there for me, and it works for me. The story that of the light and the dark and the balance and everything, and personified with the planet. I like how the planet has, like, these force storms, which kind of Rebels kind of used, I think, with the Bendu, when we met Tom Baker's character, the Bendu. Mm-hmm. He turned into, like, a giant force storm, and he was, like, meant to be the balance of the force, and it was effective for me.
No, I agree with the idea of, like, the planet and but the problem is that, like, for me, is that, again, these Jedi are, while they are saying, like, find your balance, like, it's still already 25,000 years ago starting to lean too hard towards the Jedi we know.
Yes.
And that's where I'm like, you're giving yourself so little runway of where to travel.
Yeah. It's really interesting that they started with the cool idea of, like, the Yathor or whatever they're called, like, these pyramids, and then are like, but we're not going to really talk about any of that stuff.
Yeah,
that's why I think a lot of people came to this.
There's a whole history of them and getting the people and getting there and battling a queen and all this stuff, and we're like, we're just gonna tell you about all that in summary and move on. And I'm like,
Oh, you mean one such was the despot queen of Shikawa, Queen Hadia, who first united the crime barons of her planet, then pressed the service worlds to her service?
Yeah.
There's a couple of planets that we revisit. The Kashyyyk, premiere.
Tatooine.
I was gonna say
Tatooine.
Tatooine.
is-
I liked.
I really appreciate that, and I kind of wish we were there a little longer, because that's the kind of thing that I really like about the story like this. That, going back to its ancient past, it was a completely different environment than what
Yes.
we see now.
Right.
Absolutely.
That felt like a 25,000 years ago thing where they're like, yes, this beautiful paradise
Oh.
planet, and I'm like, oh,
The
yeah.
thing I do like is the they don't call them lightsabers. I forget, the force sabers or force sabers. That like they're activated with the force, and the Jedi don't have them. The bad guys do. And like in I forget the character's name, but like she's the first Jedi to use a lightsaber. And I'm like, that intrigues me. Like, I would have assumed, the Jedi, like, they didn't originate with lightsabers. So I think that's cool that, like, actually they took them from their enemies. But, like, I'd have to read more to learn more about that.
That's the kind of thing that I was upset about most. This is called Star Wars Dawn of the Jedi Force Storm, and there's 3 Dawn of the Jedi books. But there should feel like there's 3 books, not that there's just one book, because this doesn't feel like a complete story to me.
Yeah.
And that's why the 3 issues in the middle kind of bore me a little bit, because I'm like, oh, we're spending a lot of time just to get this guy, but getting this guy should have been issue 2, and then the rest of the story should have been the rest of the this book.
It's really funny because this was the last Star Wars comic that came out before Disney bought it. Volume 3 came out, and then it was canceled because of Disney. So like this comic, like the dawn of a new era, like this was a big initiative, like before they knew they were gonna get got. Like we're gonna tell the origins of the Jedi for the first time, whatever. And like I'm kind of glad. Well, no, because like they can take what they want, but like I'm not totally impressed with their original idea here.
And this happens a lot for me personally, which is one of the reasons why, like, there's an amount of, like, there are some things I really hate to lose from Legends, and there are some things where I'm like, no, it's kind of better that that's not canon, because, like, there was an amount of free reign where, like, Star Wars got a little, like, too far
It's true.
out of the weeds, and, like, on this, I'm like, we've made a lot of characters that I'm like, here, and that's kind of how I feel. I will point out just one last thing that I took a photo of, which is that we do have the assassin who comes for the Twi'lek, and when he shoots at her, he shoots a regular gun. It shoots slugs. He calls it a slug thrower. And I was like, okay, cool. See, like, another thing where I'm like, nice, it's not lasers.
Yeah.
That's how far behind we are. Got it. Cool.
Yeah.
Like it.
Yeah, I think if there's one thing, I don't think this is a Thrawn situation where a lot of this will wholesale be taken. I don't think any of this will be taken, but I wouldn't hate if the Yoth Thor idea of like these random weird pyramids from like the outside of space came and kidnapped people to like basically start a religion, and we don't really know why, and you have to figure out why through the Force. I think that idea is incredible.
I'd really like to see that carry over, as well as I would really like to see like these characters act like we've never seen a Jedi act. They're much more emotional. They're not monks.
Yes.
I would like to see that carry over, because I like that they all have individual clothing style. They're all they've all got a full range of emotions that they're comfortable with expressing.
Yeah.
If I were to be honest, like, what I really wanted to see is something where, like, other people have already formed a different idea of how to associate with the Force that's not Jedi, it's not Sith. And, like, you're seeing Jedi form as this new idea of having a relationship with the Force, but something else existed before it.
Yeah.
And I think that would be very special and unique, because that's how things happen all the time. Like, something else already existed and mandated a way to, and, like, Jedi became a new path. Anyway, I'm glad we read it. I think it presented a nice like foundation of like what could be on the horizon, and like there's nice ideas here. It's just the execution's kind of sloppy.
Yeah, there's a cool samurai guy that shows up, and he has a great line.
Yeah,
where
that's
like
the assassin man.
Yeah, the Baron's expecting no one. No one expects death. They die nonetheless. I'm like, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Yeah, cool ideas in this one. But yeah.
To continue, I'll just wait for the James Mangold movie.
Yeah.
Ditto.
I was super interested in this, and like again, the first issue and the 5th issue, I'm like, you guys are putting out really banger ideas. I just wish you could have like done more with it instead of just do a regular story.
All right.
Oh,
well,
Sparks.
Yeah. What's up?
Book club next week.
Yeah, we are doing 5 issues. It is the Symbiote Spider-Man King in Black tie-in. we're going to be reading that. Yeah, super excited about it. I've already read it, but it's a good time. I think we're going to have fun.
All right. And
Did you read this
we
one?
don't...
I know you read like a lot of the King and Black tie-ins at one point, Brandon. Did you read this one? Okay, cool. I'm super excited about
Spider-Man?
Symbiote Spider-Man.
Symbiote Spider-Man. Spider-Man?
I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye.
Oh my god.
Don't know what next week is going to be as far as topic goes. We'll surprise you guys.
But it's just going to be the three of us.
Again.
Ben is still in Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Okay, so guys, thank you so much for being with us. You can check out all sorts of stuff on this channel if you'd like. My show Conversation is back. If you want to listen to season 2, it's up now. New and improved, I hope. Well, definitely new, hopefully improved. For Conversation, with my discussion of Karis Lund, that's linked below. Thank you.
May I real quick?
Sure.
Okay. Just keep an eye out this week for Fake Nerds Watch, Mandalorian finale discussion, Fake Nerds Watch, Picard finale discussion, Basement Arcade. Pause menu is going to have a Jedi Fallen Order review put up. We did this a while ago, but the video is going up as the new game is coming out this week. Keep an eye out for the Real Score, Episode 2, which is coming right around the corner. And then real soon, but maybe not this week, is our Cinephiles discussion on Indiana Jones 1 and 2.
All right. I don't have to plug nearly as many things now.
Look at that. That's a lot of stuff. Bye, Mag.
Check out...
Thank you for stopping by, my friend.
Night, Mag. I actually can't see you today. I'm sad, Mag. All right, so that's yeah. Check out all those shows. We love them. You can check out, of course, Fake Nerd Book Club as well and Animation Station. Yeah, new stuff coming there soon. We're gonna try and do a Visions, right?
Yes. Also keep an eye out for an Animation Station on the first volume of Visions, hopefully before the second volume of Visions release, and then we'll do the second volume of Visions soon after that. Also, because Brandon brought it up, we are looking to do Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur once we have finished the season, and Brandon as well, so we can all get together for an Animation Station on that. So those are on the horizon. I named all the other things because they're more or less done, and I know when they're coming.
Of course, you can check out all the shows. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, check out all the shows. A lot of cool stuff. You can, of course, check us out on Patreon and TeePublic if you'd like to support us financially. Cost a buck. They're linked below, as well as on our website at FNBookClub.Star, where everything is linked. Every little bit that we do is linked there. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching the rewind, and thank you so much for joining us on the live stream, especially this very late one. We're so late tonight. It's Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. Well, the joke works better if it's Tuesday. Thank you to Jeremy Vellucci, co-host of The Real Score, as well as the composer of all the music you've heard here tonight, and all the music you hear for all of our shows. You can find him at Jeremy Vellucci _Wreck of Time, or his podcast Suburban Proctologist on iTunes, Facebook.com/Suburban Proctologist Official, or Instagram at SubProcPodcast. Patola, thank you to Mike Patola, wonderful human being who collaborated with us on many things, designed many of our logos, as well as my new Conversation logo, which really helped me shape what I want that show to be. You can, of course, check him out on TikTok and Instagram at Mike Matola. Find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all at Fake Nerd Podcast, fakenerdguys@gmail.com. If you'd like to get in touch with us personally, I'm at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter. I also write for CPR.com, IGRamanmedia.com, and AtomicGeekdom.com. Magnet, of course, you can find him at BenMagnet27 on Instagram and Twitter, or you can find his writings at OldSchoolGamingMagazine.com, FusionGamingMagazine.com, and GoNintendo.com. Sparks?
You can find me eagerly anticipating Sweet Tooth Season 2 at Sparks Witty on Instagram and Twitter, SPARKZ Witty. Actually, I guess what I'm really eagerly anticipating is Jedi Survivor.
It's like one's coming out much sooner. I thought you were going to say that one.
No, they're 2 days apart.
Oh, I keep forgetting the trailer we got is for something that's coming out this week.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Don't do that, marketing team.
Fine.
Hey, you can find me loving Star Wars for all of time at DJ Tony Snark 616. I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye.
Put some dirt in your eye.
Jesus.
Subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music and Podcasts, and Pandora. Rate and review wherever you get us. We greatly appreciate it. Like this video, subscribe to this channel. Until next time you see us, guys, stay fake nerds.
I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye.